Hello, folks. Welcome to the final day of the 2026 Vegas Chess Festival. We have round 8 already underway in the National Open, one of the strongest open tournaments all year on U.S. soil. We've been covering this event live through and through. Apologies, we had to miss round 7 due to technical difficulties, but I think everything is back and working normally today. This is the penultimate round, both in the open section and in the rest of the tournament. Of course, the tournament is broken up into multiple sections. And so we have round 8 in the open and then round 6 in all the under sections because they only play 7 rounds in this tournament. And we have a number of interesting matchups here in the open. Let me actually move this one. Check this one here real quick. And yeah, looks like we're all good to go. Okay, shout out to YouTube, shout out to Twitch. Maybe I should do an Instagram story as per usual. Okay, here we go. Instagram. Let the people know what's happening. Your story, take photo, flip, and okay, this is how we do it here in Vegas. Oh wait, I did it wrong, hold on. Alright, here we go. Okay, let's add the link. And let's write final round. Vegas Chess Fest. Live now. And let's make this pop somehow. Okay, add 2 stories. And I think we're good to go. Okie dokie, folks. So let's get into the tournament. We have our board 1 matchup here between Grandmaster Zhaojun Chao and International Master Liam Putnam, who is 2,500 in rating, has I think 1 or 2 GM norms already, and has been doing great in this event. Now, in terms of the standings, these are 2 players that are currently out of 5 on 5.5 points out of 7. So we have Zhaojun Chao, Liam Putnam. Then we also have Pranith Vupala against Christopher Yu, also with 5.5 points. And we have a third player with 5.5 points, as these 2 grandmasters are facing off. In International Master Alexei Bilic, who was leading the tournament earlier. He lost the game, now he's on 5.5. He's playing Grandmaster Armin Mikhailian, who is one of many players on 5 points trying to catch up. Actually, there's only 2 players with 5 points. Armin is neither of them. Armin has 4.5 points, which is kind of interesting. I guess Bilic has already perhaps played the other 2 players on 5. So Beyond that, we have a number of players on 4.5 points. And yeah, with these final 2 rounds, actually, the tournament is pretty tight. No one is running away with it. So we'll see if we get any decisive games in today's round, as that will be quite critical for the standings. So yeah, these are going to be our top 3 boards here. First off, Zhaojun Chao against Liam Putnam. Then we have Praneeth Vupala against Christopher Yu. And finally, we have Armen Mikhailian against Alexei Bilic. And then we have a couple players in the next boards looking to bounce back as well. We have a very interesting matchup on board 10 I'm seeing between Alice Lee and Zoe Tang, 2 of America's top girl juniors. And then we have, I think, some streamers playing, including Zachary Sane, the chess nerd, and Joseph Lee, Joe Bruin. Okay, so let's go to board 1 and just see how this opening has started to develop. This looks like it might have been a Queen's Gambit accepted. So it starts off d4, knight f6, c4, e6, and knight f3 here for white, avoiding the Nimzo Indian. d5, basically going back into Queen's Gambit decline territory, and now knight to c3 from white. White also has the chance to play g3 here. We saw many Catalans yesterday in the tournament. Here, Zhao plays knight c3, which is the more classical approach, and now black goes d takes c4. Officially, this is known as the Vienna opening, and this one has a pretty solid reputation, I would say. E3, white has other options. I think e4 is generally considered to be the main line, but e3 is also playable. Black now goes a6, bishop takes c4, b5. And essentially we've kind of transposed into a Queen's Gambit accepted, where instead of taking on the second move, black took on move 4, which is also very, very possible. And now black develops quite naturally here. Bishop to b7, c5 fighting for the center, queen to e2, knight bd7, rook d1, bishop e7, and now white plays e4. So far both sides I think have done everything completely normal here. Black has developed his pieces comfortably. White has developed as well and is now pushing in the center in order to open up the dark squared bishop on c1. Now this e4 move is pretty big because white is essentially creating a positional threat now of e5. So for example, if black castles here, then after e5, knight to d5 for example, white can take on d5, and one way or another black is going to have to take with the pawn here. So if bishop takes d5, white can trade bishops, e takes d5, and we get this structure where I think white is happy. I think white is actually doing a bit better here in the center. If black takes on d4, their d pawn is weak. They can push c4, but then white just has kind of like a free space advantage on the king side. Eventually can push the f pawn, and this can be very dangerous for black. So e4, I think, is basically asking a question to black. If castle's e5, I don't think black really wants to allow this one. If, let's say, c takes d4, then just knight takes d4 looks quite active. And again, black's knight has to either trade off on d5, which is not what black wants in either case. Bishop takes d5. I think this is just kind of a beautiful picture for white. Or knight to e8, which is very passive, but, still going to be playable. Although here, this one looks like it runs into the immediate tactic, knight takes e6, which is a pretty straightforward shot. Forking the pieces. If takes knight, bishop takes e6 check. Black has to deal with the check, and then white can pick up this knight on d7 and, beat 2 pawns up. So e4 now, and I think the thematic approach for black would be to take on d4 in this exact position before white has a chance to push with e5. Then white can play knight takes d4, and here, for instance, black would have more options like maybe queen to c7, maybe knight e5 himself, just to cover this e5 square. Maybe knight to c5, a lot of moves here for black. No, knight doesn't really want to move while the rook is on d1. That's kind of important detail here. White would be winning that one. So maybe queen to c7 to get off the scope of the rook, and control the e5 square. So on e5, black could simply just grab this one. So e4, Liam now thinking, and yeah, other than c takes d4, I'm trying to come up with what other moves he might be considering here. Liam, definitely very creative player, very, very good positionally. And yeah, he might also be thinking about maybe moves like queen to b6, but any move that doesn't deal with e5 directly, I'm kind of skeptical with. c4 is possible, but after bishop to c2, we can say white has a nice center here. Yeah, b4, knight to a4. All of white's pieces are good, and center is still under control. Now, maybe black is thinking about b4 in this position, because this, I realize, is also a critical move, as e4 pawn is hanging and knight is under attack. Yeah, this is probably what he's thinking about. He's choosing between b4 and I would think c takes d4. Because now if the knight moves, then black can potentially think about playing knight takes e4. And I'm not sure exactly what white does here to punish black. White can go d takes c5, but this isn't like the most impressive pawn to capture. Maybe black castles here, and yeah, we have a sharp, very sharp game on our hands. I don't know, knight to b6. White can definitely pose some problems here. So I think Liam is currently thinking about this. If he goes b4, then he has to deal with two things. Number one, knight a4, and do you really want to take this pawn on e4 and allow dc? Maybe some tactical tricks. Number two, he also has to consider on b4, maybe white goes e5. And we get this kind of exchange. B takes c3, e takes f6, black recaptures with something, and I don't know, dc, b takes c3, maybe black takes with the bishop here, white takes with this pawn, and material kind of equalizes, and then black has to figure out whether this position is something worth going into. To me, optically, this one looks actually quite reasonable for black. Can castle, and I think everything is very solid. So I would probably be nervous about b4, knight a4, and can I or can I not take this pawn on e4? Because if not, then e5 is still a threat, d takes c5 is still up in the air as well. Morning, Yolio Yellow. Yes, today we have, well, the final round, actually the final 2 days, we have the morning rounds starting at 10 a.m. Pacific time, which of course is pretty typical for tournaments to start, especially the final day, to start the last round a bit earlier than before. Yeah, players have been also playing 10 a.m. yesterday morning as well. And yeah, a lot is going to be decided in this final day. I mean, it's Championship Sunday. Championship Sunday, 2 final rounds, and whoever breaks out and does well in these final 2 games is going to take home some very serious cash in terms of prize money. Okay, so we see what Liam is thinking about here. He's thinking about b4 here, considering this one, I think, very seriously. And in the meantime, hour and 27 minutes on the clock for Zhao Junqiao. So he's playing very, very fast still, possibly still in some kind of opening preparation. Let's check out board 2. We have another big matchup here between the leaders. Once again, we have 5 players all on 5.5 points. 4 of them are playing each other. And this is our round 2 game between Grandmaster Praneeth Vupala and the second seed in the event, Christopher Yu. Now, Christopher has had a bit of an up-and-down tournament because he lost early on to Zoe Tang in the second round. And that was a big upset. But then since then, he's basically won almost all his games. I think he scored 4.5 out of 5. And now he's back into the leader position. So he's managed to completely salvage his tournament. Rating-wise, I'm not sure how he's doing, but because he's probably played a bunch of players playing down. But in terms of fighting for contention, He's tied for first. He has black in this game. If he manages to score at least half point, he'll have white in the final round and all the chances to play for first in the tournament. So here we get the Najdorf Sicilian, the famous Najdorf. And yeah, this is a big indication that black is trying to play for all three results. White plays f4 here. White, of course, has many, many moves in this position. f4 has been considered to be more of an older line against the Najdorf and doesn't really carry the reputation of having that much danger these days. I actually faced this one several months ago in an open tournament, and yeah, I had the chance to prepare for it, so I felt like I was able to neutralize it quite comfortably. But I'm sure f4 might have come as a surprise to Christopher, because f4 is likely not Pranit's usual choice. If it is, then Christopher, I think, is prepared for it. Now, looking at the clocks, though, Christopher is up on the clock. So whether or not he prepared this, especially for this game, not sure, but he definitely knows quite a bit about this line. f4 is Karpov's choice. Yeah, I think Karpov had many games with f4, bishop e2, kind of like classic positional approach. But from a theoretical standpoint, yeah, it's not really supposed to be the most dangerous for black. Since the openings have been so weird, will we see something completely crazy? I think very possible. Board one, I would say they are playing very classically here. And this actually is also kind of classical approach. We see, I feel like this a lot in the 70s and 80s in chess. So let's see how this one developed. e5. I believe this is the main move in the position. Black can also go e6, and we get more of a Scheveningen setup, but e5 has been considered kind of the main approach. And the thing is, if white takes on e5, d takes e5, this kind of structure, I believe, is generally considered nice for black. 4 versus 3 on the king side, with white having this isolated e-pawn not being very good. So white does not take on e5. He goes knight to b3, moving the knight away from the center. And now queen to c7. A bit of a subtle move, but the idea, I believe, is to stop white's bishop from coming to c4, where it would be kind of well placed. Black could maybe also play b5 in this regard, but I think the queen is kind of well placed on c7, generally wants to go here. Now, at some point, black might go e takes f4 in the future, maybe after white moves the bishop like a knight, the bishop to e3, the better arrow. And then we get a very classic structure for the Sicilian, this ef, bishop takes f4 thing, where d-pawn is weak, but e-pawn will also be weak, and black will have nice square on e5 for the knight. So, very, very playable position. Let's see how it developed. Bishop to e2, knight bd7, castles, b5 for black, a4. White immediately strikes at the advance on the queen side. Very thematic move, I would say, this a4. Black played b4, pushing forward, and now knight to d5, hitting the queen. Trades and pawn takes. So white takes with the pawn. If queen takes, I think this would have walked into bishop to b7, and it's kind of an unpleasant tempo to give the opponent. Queen has to drop back, keep an eye on the e4 pawn, and then maybe even e takes f4 and knight to e5 might come into the picture to harass the queen. So white takes with the pawn. I think this is the more solid choice. Bishop to e7, and now we get a very classic structure here in the Najdorf. And actually white here is on a turn and has been thinking here for some time. And yeah, I would say this position is pretty classic. Likely it's very balanced. White's idea is usually to play on the queen side here, like a5, bishop to e3, using the b6 square. And one day, ideally, actually launching the pawns forward with c4 and hopefully c5. Black's play is more on the king side. Black wants to castle, push f5, bishop f6, maybe e takes f4 somewhere, followed by g5, maybe e4 push, just advancing forward. So this structure is generally pretty double-edged. It can be very, very strategic, but lots of dynamics, lots of tactics here. So I'm expecting this one to be quite a huge battle, as I'm sure both players would love to win this game and get to 6.5 points. As we see bishop e3 played, for me, this looks like the most natural move in the position. Possibly he was also considering to start with a5, which I think would be reasonable. I don't see such a big problem with that. Maybe a5 he was a little bit disconcerted with queen a7 check, forcing the king over, and then let's say it's harder for white to get the bishop to the best square e3. I'm not really sure. White can go queen to d3, for example, and prepare bishop to e3. So is this really a big deal or not? But Praneeth, the grandmaster, decides to start with bishop to e3. Probably a5 was playable. Probably he's not worried about black playing a5 himself, because then he gets this kind of nice b5 square, c6 square for the bishop. Hello. Shout out to YouTube. Shout out to Twitch. We are getting underway here. This is the round 8 of the National Open in the open section. But we also have the under sections that we'll be checking out a little bit as well. Okay, let's jump to board 3, where we have our fifth and final leader, International Master Alexei Bilicher, playing as black against Grandmaster from Armenia, Armen Mikhailian. Armen now has been living in Southern California for some time, so he's actually, I would say, pretty close to the scene in Vegas. I've played Armen a number of times, so quite familiar with this play. Very, very strong player and tends to do well in these high-level open events. So this one looks like a Catalan. Let's just run it back and see how we got to this point. Knight f3, d5, g3, going for this Catalan type setup. e6 castles, bishop to e7. Black plays very, very classic, very solid approach here. c4 castles, and now b3. And yeah, here white decides not to go for the absolute main lines of the Catalan with d4, but rather develop a bit more flexibly with the move b3. This is a line I've actually played a lot in the last couple of years, and a position I've had quite a bit as well. White's intention is to put the bishop on b2, and then maybe go d4 one day, maybe e3, maybe knight to c3, queen will come out. Essentially, white is still planning like a pretty general setup here, but with a bit more flexible approach by not committing d4 too quickly. Of course, d4 allows black to take on c4, and we get all these lines where white has to win back the pawn and so on. With b3, white is saying, you can no longer take on c4. Strategically, this is not desirable for you. I'm going to go d3, bishop to b2, and I think this is kind of a nice structure for white. So black plays b6. Kostya, did you play in the blitz? No, I did not. It was kind of late for me, and we have 2 final rounds to cover here. Bishop b2, bishop b7, e3. So yeah, pretty normal stuff from both sides. White could play d4, but e3 is a bit of a, again, cagey approach where you're just developing your play and not really defining the d-pawn, because sometimes the d-pawn maybe just chills on d3 actually, and white keeps the bishop alive on b2 and enjoys kind of a nice little strategic pull. Knight comes to d2, pushes e4, and so on. The commentator can't play in the blitz. How can the players? I don't know how they do it, actually. I mean, some of these guys, I don't know who played in the blitz, but I'm sure some of these players did. And yeah, it probably went pretty late. And so now they're going to have to dig deep. And this is something that really doesn't get discussed enough in chess tournaments. It's just how much comes down to form, energy, and nerves. Form, I think people understand, like someone's in good form, not in good form, they're going to play better, play worse. But then I think a lot comes down to just your energy during the tournament, how well you're sleeping, how well you're eating, how long your games have been, how well you're managing your energy, your stress levels. And all this stuff, you know, it's so hard to measure because you're just relying on your internal sense, like whether you feel tired or feel stressed or how you handle it. You know, there's no like clear indication like what you're supposed to really do, like how to handle like your thoughts and all your nerves and stuff. And so I'm sure some players deal with it better than others and thus have more energy in the final rounds where it really counts. A lot of people don't realize this, but like chess is such a mental game. Like obviously we understand it's mental, like a lot of stuff is happening in the brain, but it's also mental in the sense that like your brain has to be in good shape and your mindset has to be in good shape. And this is like the third point, the nerves. Nerves, I think, decide almost everything in like a high level chess game that comes down to the line, and lower level chess games as well. Basically any high stakes chess game often comes down to nerves and who can deal with the pressure of the moment better. Because anyone that's played chess in chat probably knows, like when you play a game that like counts for something, or just play any kind of OTB game just in a tournament, even if it's round 1 or round 2, you feel some nerves, you feel some butterflies because you know like the result is important. And you obviously want to win. The opponent wants to win. You have their nervous energy that's transferring onto you. And yeah, especially in these final 2 rounds where these guys are playing for literally thousands of dollars. For some of them, it's like several months worth of rent. For those living in the U.S., it's probably 1 month worth of rent, if maybe half, 3/4, depending on which state they're living in. Between half and a full month's worth of rent. It comes down to these final 2 chess games. And it's not that it just like happens quickly, they can just play chess. It's like, no, they have to think about this result, think about this final game, the pressure of the moment for the entire several hours. So yeah, we're likely going to see some blunders today, I would think, in these games. Anyway, let's get back to the game. So e3, black played c5, fighting for the center. Very, very natural move. White plays knight to c3. Knight to c6. Now, with the last move, knight c3, white was actually provoking black to push forward with d4, taking space. And if takes, I think white's idea was to play knight to b5 and go after this pawn on d4, which now feels very, very overextended. If e5, then knight takes e5. So if they do not win, they do not eat. I think that's taking it a little bit too far. I don't think these players are struggling that badly. Though in the past, in like the 90s and so on, yeah, there were a lot of struggling chess players that basically just moved from tournament to tournament. And yeah, okay, did they not eat if they didn't win a prize at the event? I'm not sure. I think they could survive off of like lessons, students, people taking them out to food. But yeah, a lot of grandmasters do rely on open tournaments and would rely on open tournaments for their income, or at least a big part of it, right? Obviously, making rent for the month is nice. It kind of takes the load off, right? And you don't have to worry about it. They do not win, they drink. Yeah. So knight c3, black goes knight c6, and now black is saying that maybe d4 is a thing, so white takes on d5. Now he could have played queen to e2 here. I think this is possible as well. And then on d4, let's say takes, and knight to b5 like this. But it'll be a pretty double-edged position. We have this kind of like reverse Benoni structure. Bishop to c5, black can play, eventually maybe e5, and yeah, this one will be pretty double-edged. But it's not like white is better. Black could even fight for the advantage here. So Armin goes for, I think, more solid approach. C takes d5. Black takes with the knight. If pawn takes on d5, I think this looks natural, getting control over the center. Here, white would play d4, and I actually like this position for white. I think white is slightly better here, because if black ever takes on d4, white can recapture with pieces and ultimately leave black with an isolated queen pawn. And then white can put the rooks on d and c files, and I think white would definitely be enjoying quite a comfortable game here. So it's hard for black to take on d4, but in the meantime, white can build up and take on c5 at any moment that he wants to. Like, he can just bring his pieces out, queen d2, rook d1, rook c1, and at some point, if it favors him, he can go dc5 and leave black with some potentially hanging pawns. So I would say this is a favorable structure for white, hence that's why we see knight takes d5, which is a bit more solid. White trades on d5 once again, asking black if he wants to take with the pawn, after which I think white would be very happy here with d4. Knight takes d4, and black is just left with this long-term weakness on d5. So black goes queen takes d5 instead. Now white advances d4, finally time to fight for the center. Rook d8 played, knight e5, black played queen d6, dc, and this is our live position here with black thinking after d takes c5. And he has a bit of a choice here because he can recapture on c5, he can trade queens on d1 first, he can trade knights on e5 at some point, although bishop on b7 is hanging, so not sure about that one. But yeah, a bit of a choice for black. However, I just want to go back quickly here. After rook d8, knight to e5, believe it or not, there have been games with the following queen sacrifice, queen takes g2. I believe in this exact position and in similar positions. And this is a really fun one. I've always been so enamored with this sacrifice because white goes king takes queen, of course. Knight takes e5 check. And now it's a bit uncomfortable for white's king. Like, obviously, if he goes king to g1, then we have knight f3 check. And the king is forced onto the diagonal. And here, yeah, black, I think, is already doing extremely well just because he's going to win more material with this battery. Knight g5 looks like it could even be made in 2 moves. But the problem, of course, is on knight g5, white will play f3 and is defending. But instead of f3, let's say black plays like c takes d4. And you can't go bishop takes d4 because knight takes d4 check. And now black has 3 pieces for the queen. And if e takes d4, then I think black doesn't really have to do anything special here. It's just like white's position is just very crummy. So his knight on f3 is just so strong. And it's hard for white to breathe without blundering into some kind of discovered attack and winning material. So queen takes g2, I think, is actually like kind of scary. The problem is after knight takes e5 is that white can play f3 in this position. It actually has to if they want to fight for advantage. And yeah, I think there were some games here with like c takes d4, maybe pawn takes d4, maybe bishop takes d4. If bishop takes d4, like knight to c6, and coming back around for this one. But generally, it's not really enough for white or for black, especially if you feed the position into the computer. I think it's going to give white some huge like +2, +3 advantage. But yeah, there were games where black decided to enter this position, which I think is so funny. Like 2 pieces for the queen. Knight comes around to like, c6, tries to get to d5, or at this point, actually, you don't really have to do anything. You're like bishop f6 as well. But yeah, it really wasn't considered enough for black, and ultimately they stopped doing it. But guys, even a certain Hikaru Nakamura once played this sacrifice. I don't think it was in this exact position, but a very, very similar one in the U.S. Championship, believe it or not, against Grandmaster. I forget who he played it against. It was someone very, very strong, a bit of older generation, maybe Joel Benjamin or Grandmaster Jan Elvis, someone like that. But it was in the U.S. Championship. I remember this game. And yeah, I mean, that's heck of a game to sacrifice your queen for 2 pieces. Like, okay, online, Title Tuesday, you sack your queen, whatever. Like, who cares, right? U.S. Championship, though, classical game, you sack your queen for 2 pieces. You might not live to tell the tale. And he ended up drawing that game. Actually, he ended up drawing that game. Hello, Alexander. Shout out to YouTube chat. I'm glad someone is covering this tournament. Yeah, absolutely. It's my 2nd year actually doing the official commentary for this event. Of course, I've played the event many, many times, but it's also quite enjoyable for me to just cover it and not have to worry about the stresses of playing. A lot of players from my local scene are here. Yeah, I come back to this tournament every year, and actually it's always a blast. Let me just say, like, I'm often meeting tons of people in the community, lots of dojoers, dojo fans of the podcast, people that are fans of Chess Dojo in general. And yeah, there's always people that come in groups from like Los Angeles, Arizona, Oregon, Washington, Texas. We always have little delegations, little pockets of players that come out from this. Of course, Vegas, Nevada, the state of Nevada has a decent amount of strong players, strong masters as well that often come out and play this event. But yeah, actually, I've had this experience a couple of times now where people don't really seem to know, who I am, but then they hear like Chess Dojo and they're like, oh, I know Chess Dojo. So it seems like the brand has now surpassed my personal following, which is cool. So yeah, okay. In this game, black decides not to sack the queen, instead goes queen to d6, which is definitely objectively the more solid move. White goes d takes c5, and here Bilic has been thinking this whole time on this move. He is one of the leaders here with 5.5 points, but playing black against Grandmaster, I think he should be kind of content with a draw if allowed. Now, what's he thinking about here? The problem is that there is some pressure against the knight on c6. So he can go queen takes c5. And I think this would be kind of the most tempting move, hitting white's queen. But then black has to think about like knight d7 and what's happening here. But no, knight d7 I don't believe in, because the queen can just move, and now we've pinned our own knight. So I'm not really liking this one. But queen to c5 hits the queen on d1. And I guess white has some move in mind, maybe queen to f3, with the attention knight takes e5, queen takes b7, picking up the bishop pair. How much this is for white in terms of advantage is hard to say. It might not be that much. Rook to d7, bishop f6, maybe black trades off the bishops. Everything is fine. But at least something to think about for black. Now, queen takes d1, rook takes d1. This, I think, could be kind of a problem for black, this endgame. Because white took a pawn, so black has to recapture this one at some point. But also knight on c6 is hanging. So you don't have time to take here because white just takes that one. And if you go knight takes e5, then bishop takes b7. And knight is hanging, and we still haven't won back our pawn on e5. So, yeah, this one I don't quite see this working for black. So queen takes c5 looks critical. Then we have queen g4 suggestion from the chat. Fair enough. Looking at g7, I think very thematic move here. So knight takes c6, and then queen takes g7 is the threat, or knight d7, for example. But I mean, black plays knight takes e5, right? And what's happening here? Bishop takes e5, queen takes e5. Oh, and bishop takes b7. Okay, yeah, so this line's fine for black. Sorry, so we're talking about a different line. Excuse me. So we're saying in this knight d7 line. Oh, so knight d7 may be playable. So if queen a5, queen g4, that was the suggestion. Yes, actually, okay. Important tactical detail. No, we unpin, we threaten mate, and rook is still hanging. So this, I would think, I don't see a move here for black. There's no knight e5. Okay, this looks like good for white. So maybe this is something to think about. Knight d7, I guess queen to g5. And now white doesn't have the same queen g4 move, but maybe white can go queen to c2. But no, rook d7, bishop takes c6, rook c7. And again, we're getting pinned up the wazoo. So queen takes c5 definitely seems like the critical move here. I'm not even sure I see another move for black, but it's kind of surprising. Like knight e5, let's see, d4, rook d8. Yeah, this is a theoretical position, so white shouldn't be winning here. Like all of a sudden. Queen d6, theoretical move. And yeah, d takes c5. I'm sure this is some theory, but feels like queen takes c5 is enough for black because we get a tempo on the queen, and then we'll take on e5 at some point. Okay. So queen c5. And yeah, feels like knight d7 would be the main concern. But I don't know. I guess I would also think about just some other moves that like maybe white can try to do something with the pin on the knight. But this guy is attacked. I mean, we can also think about just a simple position like queen to e2. And here the point would be that on knight takes e5, white takes on b7. It argues that he has the bishop here. And I think white could definitely claim some potential advantage here. Like, we have rook to c1 coming. We have bishop to d4 if needed. And light score bishop on b7 is definitely quite a good piece. So how much white has here, I think, is hard to say. I would think it's just kind of like small edge. Maybe nothing special. But the other question is, other than queen takes c5, it's like, what other move is black considering here? Because queen to d1 just doesn't look playable to me. And white did just capture a pawn on c5, so black has to do something about this. B takes c5 feels very ugly. And yeah, after queen d6, for example, you got to go rook d6 to defend the knight on c6. White can use this c4 square, and yeah, I think this would just be long-term suffering for black. So, okay, we'll leave Bilic to think about it. I think he has to kind of figure out the lines after queen takes c5, but I just don't really see another option for him. Okay, now we have a couple streamer boards. First, I want to check out board 4. We have a friend of mine, Tatev Abrahamian, playing against Grandmaster Viktor Matvishin. And Tatev has actually had a very, very decent tournament. 3 wins, 2 draws. Playing down, though, so this is basically her first real test against high-rated player. And looks like she went for the 4 knights, e4, e5, knight of 3, knight c6, knight c3, knight of 6, and d4, the 4 knight Scotch. This one is generally considered to be more of a drawing weapon against high-rated players. Or another way to think about it, it's like more of a provocation and also a punishment. You know, if you're going to play e4, e5 against me, I'm just going to play the most solid thing. And yeah, if you're going to want to try to win this game, you're going to have to outplay me from an equal position. So takes, h3, h6, both sides developing here quite normally. And we've reached this structure where black has this pawn on d5. He can support it with the pawn on c6. White is generally considered to be playing for a very, very small edge, but if black is well prepared, they usually equalize just fine. So rook to b8, one of many useful moves for black in the position. Rook e8 is playable. Bishop to d6, c6, lots of reasonable moves here. Bishop f4, bishop drops back. b3, rook to b4, forcing white to kind of trade on d6 and allow black to get the queen in. White now goes knight to e2, very typical move to cover the f4 square and one day try to bring the knight to d4. Black plays c5, white goes c3, and now this is our live position, c5, c3, and this rook on b4 is being asked to leave. Now black is going to drop back somewhere. Not sure where actually. Like rook to b8 looks like the most, I don't know, logical, reasonable square. But rook to b7 also makes sense with the intent to actually double on the e-file and try to save some time. So, yeah, a bit of a pleasant choice here from black. Looks like we have a move. Rook to b6 played. Okay, he puts the rook on b6, a third option. Maybe intending to play bishop to a6. At some point, maybe just using the rook laterally on the 6th rank, where it is quite helpful. Kaylin from Twitch chat says they like black here. I would imagine that it's yeah, I would imagine that it's pretty equal here, but I would not sure which side I would prefer. I feel like I generally would rather tiny bit have white here, but I think it is very, very basically just equal. Bishop to b7, yeah, I mean, actually it's hard to say. I think I wouldn't mind at all having black in this position either. Feels like black is comfortable, but white does have some ideas, like in the long run, these pawns on d5 and c5, sometimes white puts some questions here with the move c4. And yeah, can definitely fight for a tiny bit better structure here. But overall pretty equal. I would expect this game, most likely result will be a draw. Okay, let's check out. We have not all of our streamers playing today. A couple of them are taking buys for the morning round, but we do have a couple guys playing. Zachary Sane, the chess nerd. He's white here against Justin Zhu, who is a fellow Canadian. So we have Canada versus Canada here. Both players around 2100. And we have Italian game. Knight of 6, inviting the fried liver attack. White says no thank you. h6, castles, bishop to c5, c3, d6, a4, a5. So yeah, very kind of harmonious development here from both sides. Classic stuff. Also, this is like very trendy now at higher levels as well. No one really understands anything about these positions. Knight a3, white develops the knight, eventually brings it to c2, maybe preparing d4, maybe preparing to bring the knight to e3. Castles h3, bishop e6, bishop to b5, avoiding the trade. Knight a7, bishop drops back to c4. Now saying, okay, if you trade, I'll improve my knight. And this is the live position here after bishop to c4. So black, of course, could play knight to c6 and repeat the position. And then I would expect Zach to deviate with some move. Rook to e1, bishop to e3, queen e2, bishop b3. Lots of options here for white. And basically both sides here, I think, are going to kind of try to keep this tension. But if white doesn't move the bishop, then yeah, black can definitely consider bishop takes c4. Let's say knight takes c4, and eventually playing for like d5 break. I think is pretty solid here for black. But we can also consider taking with the pawn and trying to clamp down Marazzi bind style on the d file, and then eventually fixing this knight. Bishop e3, maybe knight e3. I actually think this would be quite playable for white, just optically. I'm sure Engine thinks everything is roughly equal here, but I feel like you could get some pressure here. Knight comes to e3, knight comes to d5, and black has to choose to take, to not to take, and maybe some very, very small long-term pull. But anyway, h3, and yeah, we have the live position here, and black is a little bit lower rated and playing black, so you would expect them to not be unhappy with the repetition after knight to c6. But of course, black realized that after knight c6, white doesn't have to repeat, is probably going to keep playing. And so, yeah, maybe black can just consider a different move here. Bishop takes a3, definitely possible. Let's see how this one might play out. Maybe bishop takes e6. I guess fe. Rook takes e3. I think this is nothing. Rook takes a3, nothing special for white. Maybe white just takes back with the rook and says if bishop takes c4, then I'll take with the pawn, and again kind of play for this Marazzi style of position. But yeah, I think this is possibly what black is thinking about as well, because, okay, he can repeat the position right now with knight c6. You can also think about bishop takes a3. Oh, knight takes e4. Oh, wait, sorry. Okay, it continues to be concrete. Bishop c4, dc4, and knight takes e4. And if queen d5 trying to win the pawn back, black has knight c5 and recapturing. So, yeah, I think we've kind of stumbled onto this. I think this is what black is thinking about. Of course, he's probably okay with a draw, so he can go knight c6, but if he plays bishop takes a3, it seems like he's forcing bishop takes e6. And now both pieces hanging. He can consider bishop takes b2 here as well. Bishop takes f7. White also grabs a pawn. Rook takes f7. Bishop takes b2. This is one option for black. Or you can just recapture fe and play this position. Second option for black. And both actually, I think, are totally fine. So, if anything, maybe black feels more comfortable here than from the starting position. So, knight h5, knight c6. This knight comes back. Oops, let's make some proper arrows here. Knight h5. Arrows. Knight c6, knight h5, knight comes to f4. Black has open f file. Queen e8, queen to g6. Black doubles. Rook f7, rook a f8. Basically, very, very easy, simple structure for black to play, and generally doesn't experience problems. So I think he's kind of thinking like, yeah, why don't I just go bishop takes a3? Okay, I'm happy with a draw, but after knight c6, I don't think my opponent's going to repeat. I think he's going to come up with some way to put pressure. So why don't I just go bishop takes a3, go for solid position while I still can? And I think this is what Justin should do. I don't really see how white gets much of an edge here. But sometimes players really like this dark squared bishop. So who knows? Who knows on this one? Okay, so Justin here still thinking on this position. Let's jump to our other streamer here. We have Joe Bruin. Shout out to Joe Bruin fans in the chat. And he is playing black here. And he also has a Scotch. And he's also playing a Canadian player. So both Joe and Zach playing Canadians today. Goes for the Scotch opening. Does white, bishop c5. And now knight f5. So bishop c5 is one of the main moves for black in the position, knight f6. Also thousands and thousands of games here in theory. But bishop c5, knight f5. Not the only response for white. Knight to b3, I think, is kind of considered the main line here. Bishop e3 has also been played many, many, many times. Knight f5, though, attacks g7. Black goes queen f6. And white's idea is that if you go g6, he's not going to come in with knight g7 check and get trapped, but rather, I think he's just going to play back and try to use this d5 square and the weakening of the g-pawn. So queen f6, knight c3, knight e7, knight e3. Castles, bishop e2, d6, castles, and now knight to d4. Okay, aggressive move from black, going after the bishop here. White says no thank you, bishop d3. Knight to g6, now the other knight is jumping around, and so far I like what Joe is doing, but knight to d5, white has his own knights, queen d8, and this is our live position. So what can we say about this one? The structure here I would say is pretty balanced. Like, okay, white has a little bit more space in the center, but it's not a big deal because of the d pawn. And in the meantime, black has a lot of squares with knight to e5 and f5 as well. So yeah, I don't know. I kind of don't mind black's position here. I think he can play c6 at some point. He has the f5 break, which to me looks like an equalizer. Like, let's say black just goes c6 right now. Okay, it's white's turn, guys. It's white's turn. Don't panic. He goes b4. So, see this thing about chess. It's like, all right, you have all these ideas, but your opponent might do something frisky. b4 is a heck of a move, actually, and maybe changes my evaluation of this entire position, because this is forcing the bishop to drop back. Now white can collect the bishop pair themselves and put this bishop on the beautiful long diagonal, which you don't really see in e4, e5 positions too often. But this one looks great for white. You have unopposed dark squared bishop, long diagonal, f4 coming, knight to d5 coming to go even further, f5, f6. Uh-oh. I think Joe might be in some trouble here, actually, guys. This b4 move, very, very strong. Collecting the dark squared bishop and then using their own dark squared bishop on b2. Ooh, so I'm kind of liking this one for white, guys. Very tricky. Very tricky. Okay, we'll see if Joe can figure something out. Maybe he can respond with a counterattack like c6. But this is hard to believe, because white takes first, c takes d5. White still has the dark squared bishop. Now I think after any move here, c takes d6, white is just better. The position is opening up, and the dark squared bishop is really strong. Knight takes d5 also totally possible here, and yeah, I think I just like white. So okay, we'll let Joe think about this one. But I think he's going to have a bit of a defensive task cut out ahead of him here. Let's check out... let's go back to Zach. Bishop takes a3, bishop e6, and bishop takes b2 played. Yeah, so they go down this line. White takes on f7. Rook takes f7, and now bishop takes b2. And, yeah, I don't know. I feel like black is kind of totally fine here. Right? Like, bishop on b2 doesn't look very good. Of course, white will improve it. He'll bring it back to c1 and e3. It's not a bad bishop, but right now he's going to have to fix it. And it seems like white's structure here isn't really all that special. Black can go like b6 somewhere just to secure the pawn. And, yeah, I think seems like black is totally fine. I mean, e4, e5 Italian game, right? It's like really hard to achieve something here for white. And I'm not sure where exactly Zach went wrong. Seems like he's already been spending a lot of time in his book. Maybe bishop to b5. Maybe this wasn't the right moment for it, because after knight a7 he goes back and black just immediately goes for this operation. So maybe bishop to b5 wasn't the right... It's a very thematic move, but I don't know if this was correct. Or maybe after knight a7 he had to do... Sometimes white plays like d4 here. Maybe he had to do d4. But I don't know. Knight takes b5. Hard to judge these positions. Knight takes. Then e5 is hanging. e4 is also hanging. Black has the bishop pair now. So maybe somewhere he had to play d4, but... Or do something else here. It's hard to say. Okay. So, knight c6 back. White to play. Maybe c4. he might consider to kind of open up the bishop. Now I think d4 is not really strategically what white wants to do here. So I would expect something closer to c4 and bishop to c3. Or bishop c1, bringing the bishop back to e3, where it rightfully belongs. Probably close to equal, but I think if I had to pick a side, I think I would almost always take black here. Somehow black's position just feels a little bit more compact, healthier structure, and yeah, feels like a bit easier play. Maybe black will want to move the knight and sack on f3. That's an idea for sure. Like you double the rooks on the f file, you go knight h5, rook takes f3, gf, and then the knight hops into f4. Definitely an idea for sure. But white will have time to deal with this one, of course. White can move the knight from f3, go to knight h2, you can put a rook on e3. There's ways for white to kind of deal with that idea. So I think objectively white should be fine here. But yeah, a little bit more comfortable for black. Okay, guys, let's jump back to board 1 of the open section. This was the game between Zhao Jinchao and Putnam. Yeah, we left it off here. Liam was tanking for quite a bit and ends up playing c4. And we were discussing a lot of moves here. I thought b4 here might be critical to go after the pawn. He goes c4 instead, bishop c2, now b4. Here after knight a4 he could have played. The pawn on e4 isn't hanging, so this one I think was possible, but white goes e5 anyway. Takes on c3, takes on f6, bishop takes f6, pawn takes c3. Now black plays bishop to d5 here, and bishop a3 from white. So bishop to d5, defending the pawn, bishop a3, stopping the castling, bishop e7, trades, bishop to e4. And now white again prevents black from castling, because if castles then we'd see bishop takes d5, and you cannot take back because your queen will be lost. So instead bishop takes e4. We're expecting queen takes e4 here. This will be played as soon as white returns to the board. Probably he's away from it right now. Queen takes e4. There it is. And now castles blitzed out by Liam. Connecting rooks, securing the king, and defending the rook on a8 as well. So this one I think is fairly close to equality. We could argue that maybe black's c-pawn is a bit of a weakness here, but so is the pawn on c3, and black has very, very natural play here to put the knight on f6 and then d5. So I would think this one is very, very balanced, and yeah, I think it's going to be very hard for either side to try and pose some problems here, so I'd probably expect a draw in this one. I would take white if I had to choose a side. I think white is maybe microscopically better because this pawn on c4 is a bit of a target, but somehow I feel like black's position is very, very healthy here. Rooks come to c8 and b8, knight f6, knight to d5. You're going to have to defend your c-pawn, and yeah, I feel like this is yeah, should be no serious issues for black. Can we take a look at Chess Nerd's game? Yeah, actually, we just came from there, but I'll just bring up the position for the fans. I know a lot of fans rooting for Zach here. This is his live game after last move, knight to c6. Just to recap, I was saying it's objectively very close to equal here, but if I had to pick a side, I would actually slightly prefer black's position here, just because I feel like it's a bit more solid and a bit healthier. So let's jump back to the top boards. Of course, we'll be bouncing around all these boards during this round. We just saw board 1, which is looking pretty equal, although hold on, d5 played by Zhao. d5 is an interesting move. Of course, you can't take this one because of the pin. And he's allowing knight f6. So hold on, guys. What's happening here? Knight f6. Isn't this double attack? Not a blunder because of rook takes d5. Yeah, so white just drops back. Knight takes d5, rook takes d5. Yeah, I was thinking maybe his intention is d6. I was like, maybe he wants d6. But d6 doesn't really work. Knight takes e4, d takes e7, rook e8. And I think this pawn is going to be... It should be round upable. f6, king f7. I don't really believe in this pawn. Knight takes c3, bring the knight back to d5. So I think, yeah, this is not it. But rather knight f6, he's just going to drop back somewhere, and black still can't take on d5. Okay, but I think Liam has already moved. Oh, knight f6 already played. I'm surprised he moved that one very, very quickly. I guess he was already kind of thinking about this. But I guess this play is simple. Knight f6, you can go like rook e8 next. Or maybe he's expecting queen takes c4, knight takes d5, then this is very, very equal as well. Actually, no, this I think would be kind of better for black because white is just having a weakness. So, I don't know. Actually, I thought he might think about it there because knight c5 is also an option to target the queen. And knight c5 to me looks interesting. But I guess knight c5, queen takes c4 doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? Okay, so it's just a concrete issue. Just queen c4, and there's nothing special here for black. So knight f6 and white to play. We're expecting queen somewhere, maybe queen e5, queen to e3, queen e2 also possible. So just maintaining the pin on the e file. Okay, but this one looking very, very solid. Let's go to board 2. This one, much more imbalanced position between Grandmasters Praneeth Vupala and Christopher Yu. We saw this one earlier. This came out of a Najdorf, and I was just curious how we got to the last couple of moves. So bishop e3 was where we left off. Black castles. To me, the position is, again, close to balance, but I kind of prefer black's play here a little bit. I feel like it's kind of more fun to play on the king side. But c4, white's play is also very clear. Rook is coming to c1. Takes, rook to c1. Knight f6. Rook takes c3. Takes with the rook. Queen to d8. Now fe5, de, and rook to d3. And this is our live position. I gotta say, this is not a very typical structure that comes out of the Najdorf. And it feels quite imbalanced. Like white has this passed d pawn, black has 4 versus 2 now on the king side, basically. So a lot of endgames here, are kind of nice for black with the pawn majority, but we're very, very far from the endgames. And some endgames are nice for white because they have the potential to create more than one passed pawn. So very, very difficult position to judge right off the bat. My instinct is that black is doing fine. I mean, he feels like he has a couple moves here. Bishop to d6 comes to mind. Right now, white just played rook to d3, threatening to push the pawn to d6, just winning a piece. So bishop d6 is kind of the first move that comes to mind with the blockade. But maybe black can think about playing e4 as well, just to throw this one in, force the rook to move, and then bishop to d6. Because whichever way you do it, I think ultimately black wants to play both moves. I think you want to play bishop d6 and you want to play e4 to open up the bishop. So maybe you start with e4 here and then you go bishop to d6. I don't know. I'm a little bit skeptical about e4 because after rook to d2, bishop d6, you allow white to use the d4 square. So knight c6 is in the air. I don't know what's going on here. There's knight takes d5, bishop on e3 is hanging. Maybe tactically white can't go knight d4 right away, but eventually you are kind of giving up this idea. So maybe you don't want to play e4 too quickly. Maybe it's more flexible to just start with bishop to d6, and then you save this e4 for the future. You don't give white an easy time to just do whatever they want. You don't kind of show your hand. It's good to see analysis not backed by the engine. Yeah, thank you. Welcome to the dojo. This is how we do it here. I mean, personally, I just think it's kind of more interesting to follow it this way, and also we're closer to the players. Like, we can actually think about what they might be considering. And then when they make a move that's surprising to us, it's just like, oh, okay. It's like, wow, okay, you just played e4. It's like, do we really need an engine to tell us that this was... It's like, no, it's like, if you're a strong player, of course you can analyze the position and give your own thoughts. Obviously, I'm blundering a lot, but that's why I have Twitch chat. Like people like Kaylin, right, to like help me, kind of like check me tactically, which is very, very helpful because I am going to blunder stuff sometimes. But apart from the blunders, I think strategically, it's nice to kind of think about what the players might actually be thinking about versus just like whatever the engine is showing. The players also don't know what the engine is saying, right? So it's like, it's kind of cool to just be more in the fight with them. So e4 played, white's going to move the rook somewhere, and then I'm still expecting bishop to d6 to follow up there by black. And if he doesn't play bishop to d6, well, that will be a pretty surprising move, I'll have to say. Okay. So this is board 2, and oh, we have updates on board 3. So let's go. Wow. So this is an example where it's like the engine was just going to ruin it for us, tell us like white's better, it's equal. Here it's like we get to find out as the players find out what's going on in this position. So this is the board 3 game between Armen Mikhailian and Alexei Bilic. Alexei, international master, but has been performing fantastically this tournament. He was leading the tournament with a perfect 5 out of 5. He drew a game, he lost a game. Now he's tied for first with several other players. He had to face this decision here after d takes c5. And after queen takes c5, we were wondering why he doesn't just play this move, because to me it looked like the only move. It looked like an obvious move. You're hitting the queen on d1, you're hitting the knight on e5. But then we had suggestion like maybe knight d7 is what black is worried about. Now I thought knight d7 is sketchy because like queen to g5, cover g4 square, very important, and now knight is just pinned. And it's like it's pinned and it's like deeply encroached right behind enemy lines. So it's like as far as overextended goes, you cannot get more overextended than this. Even if you put the knight somewhere on the back rank, that would be less overextended, because if the knight's on the back rank, then at least it's not pinned. Here the knight is pinned to the queen. Armen, of course, knows what he's doing, so 100% would not have played this move without a response planned on queen to g5. But now the question is how white is going to follow up here. So one idea is you can just go after the knight on c6. So rook to c1 comes to mind, queen to c2 comes to mind. But queen c2 earlier I didn't like, I remember, because black takes, we take here, and then we get pinned again. Which, to me, this looked like a problem. To me, this looked like white wasn't getting out of this one. Queen c3, we just take. So rook to c1, maybe first instinct here, to attack the knight and try to bring the rook to c7. So like if knight a5, for example, bishop takes bishop, knight takes bishop, rook to c7, knight c5. I don't know. To me, this looks super, super sketchy, because it's like, it's just like, how do you keep this knight defended? At some point, you have to unpin and the knight will get out, but it's like, how do you get out? Because here it's like, the problem is when you unpin with the queen. This is the biggest problem about pins, guys, okay? A brief tangent here. The problem with pins is that when you unpin with the queen, you're losing defense over the knight. So it's like, how do you keep defense over the knight and get out of the pin? Either you keep the queen in the pin, or you lose the pin and you lose the piece. So what to do? Okay, we have a move. h4. Okay, h4 was also a candidate there. I did want to mention it because it hits the queen. It's a candidate move, but after queen to g6, I just didn't quite see the follow-up from there. Nothing really changes after queen to g6. White still has to solve some tactical problems here. How is he going to figure this out? Is black playing knight b8? Knight b8 is a tricky move here. Let's say white makes some not rook c1 move, which might fix things. But if king h2, then let's say knight b8 with the idea bishop takes and rook takes d7. Oh, knight takes f8 hits queen. Oh, excuse me. Okay. Aha. Okay, we're figuring stuff out. Of course, queen g6, white can unpin tactically. White can unpin tactically. Yeah, so rook takes queen, knight takes g6. Say rook takes check. And white ends up with extra exchange. Yes, YouTube chat was on that one as well. Well done, guys. I was just testing you. Well done. So queen h6 played. Hence queen h6. Okay, so we were able to understand this one without the help of Compy. But now, once again, the knight is still pinned. And what is white going to do about knight on d7? Are we going to see rook to c1? Hard to say. Hard to say. Armin here is thinking about it. I feel like he should have had something in mind before he went for 97 here. And probably he's just double checking his calculations, because I think he wouldn't just willingly go into this position without having a very, very concrete plan of how exactly he's going to support that knight on d7. But very interesting position, guys. We'll definitely have to keep an eye on this one. Folks, I'm going to take a little break here. We've been on for a little over an hour, so it's time to get up and stretch the legs a bit. So stay tuned. I'm going to leave it on this board so we can see how white continues here. And question from the chat: would you sack your queen as white ever? I mean, depends on how many pieces you get, right, and in what form. But yeah, surely we're not talking about knight takes f8 here, because rook takes queen, we take the rook, black takes the knight, and black has queen and piece, right, for 2 rooks. So it's somehow white has to achieve getting at least two rooks for the queen, or rook bishop and something for the queen, something like that. So I don't quite see how he's going to do it. Okay, I'm going to jump on break. We'll leave it on this board so we can see how this develops over the next couple moves. And we will be back, folks, as we continue to cover very important penultimate rounds in the Vegas Chess Festival. This is the 2026 National Open. Alrighty, folks, I will be right back. See you all soon. Alrighty, folks, we are back with round 8, the final day from the 2026 Vegas Chess Festival. We have the penultimate rounds in both the National Open and the rest of the sections, not just the under sections. And yeah, we're back on this board from board 3, one of our critical games for today. Between Grandmaster Armen Mikhailian and International Master Alexei Village. So here, after some thought, we had rook to c1 from Armen. This was the move we were expecting because White has to figure out how to fix the knight on d7 or what to do with it. He counterattacks knight on c6. And after a long thought himself, Black goes knight a5. And now this is the position here. And earlier we were kind of expecting takes, rook to c7, knight c5, and I said I wasn't sure what's going on here. b4, very, very hard to judge this position. But maybe White can also consider just playing rook c7 right away to support the knight on d7. This is maybe even better for White. And then at bishop g2, king takes g2. Here I would think the knight on d7 is actually quite a good piece. Next, White can untangle with queen c2, rook to d1, and eventually either bring the knight back or do something else with it. Yeah, rook c1. If knight a5 is the best Black can do here, then it feels like rook to c7 is solving a lot of White's issues. And to me, it looks like White is even going to be better after rook to c7, guys. So that's a development we'll have to keep an eye on. By the way, speaking of developments, we did have a draw on board 1 between Zhao Jinchao, the top seed, and International Master Liam Putnam, who I think at this point is very much in contention for the GM norm. Liam has 6 out of 8 points here. According to chess.com, his performance is 2568, which means that he's very, very close to the 2600 performance. And depending on how the last round goes, he might be able to get that necessary 2600. So he'll very likely play a GM in the final round. He will have White, and he might be good with a draw, actually. I think it's going to be pretty close. He might need a win to get the GM norm, which will be tough, but he might even be able to get there possibly with a draw, depending on who he plays, their rating, and yeah, some of the math with his average rating and things like that. But 6 out of 8 for Liam, including no losses, 4 wins, 4 draws, very, very solid, very decent event for him, I gotta say. Zhao Jinchao, of course, he's the top seed. I think he should be satisfied as well. He had a couple of early draws, but now he's likely going to be at least within a half point of the leaders going into the final round. So with these two guys having drawn, that means they're both on 6 out of 8 points. And that's leaving potential for board 2 to turn decisive and give us a clear leader here. So if one of these guys wins, Praneeth Vupala or Christopher Yu, the number 2 seed, then they will be overtaking the clear lead with 6.5 points. So here I just want to catch up, and then we'll go back to the board 3 game, because I'm sure there's going to be some developments there. So we saw this one, Christopher having played e4, rook to d4 from White. Bit of a surprising move, as I thought maybe White was going to use the knight on this square, but now I realize perhaps White wants a different idea, knight to d2, and put pressure on e4 and bring the knight to c4. So Black plays bishop to d6, and now bishop to g5, rook to e8, king h1. So Black here could have played bishop to e5. I mean, I think this would have been my first instinct and ultimately my move. Oh, but rook takes e4. Okay, so maybe my first instinct, but maybe not what I would have played because e-pawn is hanging. So rook to e8, giving White the chance to take on f6 and double the pawns. But I guess both players thought that this is not that bad for Black. Maybe Black goes f5, and yeah, optically actually it looks kind of okay. f5, the queen comes out on the dark squares, and I think I'm liking Black's position here just fine. Dark square bishop is very, very strong. So I agree with the players there. So king to h1, and now this is the live position with Christopher to play. And Black is up 30 minutes on the clock. Time control is 90 plus 30, so 90 minutes for the whole game, 30-second increment added per move, no bonus time at move 40. So time trouble is definitely a thing in this tournament, and so once these players get low on time, it's very hard to make it back. So Christopher, serious time advantage here, twice as much as the opponent, 30 minutes extra on the clock, and we have a very sharp, very imbalanced position. So exactly what a high-rated player might want to try and play for the win. And if he did win this game, then this would be huge for his tournament, because then he'd be in the clear lead, half a point ahead of everyone else, and playing white in the last round. So excellent chances for Christopher to win the tournament. Now, he's thinking about what to play here. White has just played king to h1, just getting the king off of the dark squares. I think very logical, very reasonable move. For me, a big question is like where this bishop is going to go. My instinct is to just put it on d7 to connect the rooks and just kind of keep it very flexible. On b7, I feel like it's a bit restricted by this d5 pawn, and then we lose control over some squares on the king side, like f4, f5, and g4. So maybe bishop to d7 here would be a thought, eyeing the a pawn as well, and giving white another chance to take on f6 if they want to, which I think is not so scary. It allows black to eventually get the rook into the game as well. Maybe some rook to b8 move. Objectively, my guess is that the position is balanced if you ask the computer, but optically, to me, black's position just looks a lot more harmonious. But okay, it's just a personal preference. Like white also has ideas like queen e1, queen h4, for example, and he can start putting pressure on the king side. So I think the situation could turn, but somehow, yeah, I generally believe in black's position here. So we'll see how Christopher handles this one. Let's go back to board 3. This is definitely one of our most interesting games of the round, just because I'm so curious how this knight on d7 is going to last. And yeah, so we were talking here that one way or the other, either white takes on b7 or goes rook to c7. Now in rook to c7, there was a suggestion bishop to c8 to just completely embarrass the knight on d7. Somehow I feel like white should be able to find some resource here to defend. Because it feels like black is just very, very passive and taking a lot of liberties to try and pick up this knight on d7. On the other hand, it is a full piece, so we do have to figure something out. The other question is, like, how does black add an attacker? Like, right now the knight is defended, but how does black kind of put extra pressure on the knight? So maybe white tries something like a3, b4, going after this guy who is also lacking squares. I guess knight takes b3 is possible. Rook takes d7. Here black kind of wins a pawn. Rook to c1. I think white still has really good compensation though, and will probably win it back. So rook c7, bishop c8 playable, but maybe just like rook takes a7. And yeah, currently white's up a pawn. Knight is awkward, but like, how do you actually win it as black? I don't know. Maybe black has some e5, queen e6 type stuff. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, suggestion from Kalen to take on f8. Sacking the queen. Yeah, earlier I think this one wasn't working, but here maybe the situation has changed. So this, I mean, Armin is spending a lot of time, so I'm sure he's considered this, because it does, like, you always consider this kind of thing because potentially it could be very good for you. Like if the rooks are able to break to the back rank, like, you know, it just could be dominating. But it is a piece for black. So king takes f8. And yeah, here I guess white has ideas. Like there's bishop takes b7, knight b7, rook c8 check. But bishop to d8, and I don't quite see it here. Bishop a3 check, king goes to e8. If we take twice on d8, then it's only rook and bishop for the queen, and I think it's not enough here. Black is going to get the queen back into the game soon. So yeah, takes, king takes. White would have to find something special here, which yeah, I'm not quite seeing for white. I mean, maybe takes rook d7, rook c7, maybe rook c7. because we're trying to get like rook c8 check. And if white could win a piece back, have 2 rooks for the queen, no pawn for black, that's white's very happy there for sure. But knight d6, bishop a3, very, very complicated. I mean, I could see why Armin is spending his time here, because he might be looking down these lines, and it's just like, ooh, it's hard to see all this. e5 though, black seems to be defending. Rook to d7. The variations continue. The variations continue. Don't move the knight. Don't move the knight. Rook d8 checkmate. You cannot take. You cannot take. So yeah, but then king e8. The variations continue. The variations continue, and bishop takes d6, king takes d7. I think black is getting out. So king t8, and then rook takes a7, but oof, f5. Very hard to judge this position. Very hard. Also, there was rook takes e7 here, and rook d6, which I don't know what's going on in this king and pawn endgame. Maybe black is better. Yeah, it's like, but then rook takes a7 changes everything, because now white wins a pawn. Now is threatening to take on e7 and take on d6. And yeah, how does black save the queen? I don't know. This endgame pawn up for white. But okay, f5 wasn't the only move there. Rook takes a bishop here, maybe. It's like, no, but then check. Then check. So yeah, tricky. But the thing is, if you do this with white, if you play knight takes f8 here, you got to be 100% sure that you're not just going to end up down material. Because yeah, there's just so many options here. Rook takes, king takes. But this is all very forcing. So takes, rook to c7. But there was knight to d6. There's still knight to d8 as well. But knight d8, bishop a3. Okay, this one I think we can solve. Bishop a3 seems to be a killer. If you take, then you get mated. And otherwise, white is starting to take and take there. Okay, so knight a5. Bishop takes b7, also not forced. Yes. takes, king takes. And this one here. With idea, bishop takes g2, rook c8 check. And white wins two rooks for the queen like this. So this would be good for white. This would be nice for white either way, and then takes. Why rook c7 there, not rook d7? You know, I'm not totally sure. I was just starting with rook c7, so then knight c5, we have rook c8 check. Whereas if rook d7, knight c5, then there's no back rank check. So, okay, white still has rook takes a7, and b4 is coming, so it's still like, b4 is still coming. Like, I would not have fun here with black. Actually, you know what? I think Kalen is right. I think this is what Armin is thinking about. And honestly, the more I look at it, like the more I don't really. It feels kind of good for white. Like takes. You can't just recapture because then you're down the exchange. So you have to take the queen. And here you have to take the knight. I mean, maybe you throw in this one, but ultimately you'll have to take the knight, and then rook to c8 is going to be a problem. So like takes here, king takes. Let's say you take with bishop. Rook comes to c8, rook comes to d8, bishop a3. White is winning material. This queen on h6 is just really bunk, you know. Basically, white is never worse here and possibly winning. Yes, knight b7, maybe we rook e8, knight d6, we have to take. Maybe we get some endgame like this, but okay. I mean, again, white is never worse here. And possibly better because the bishop is kind of a good piece. So, yeah, and Armin's been thinking the whole time we've been analyzing, which is not surprising because, yeah, I think he's just looking at all of these lines. But yeah, I don't really see an issue with this one. Yeah, very instructive, right? Like at first I wasn't expecting this intuitively to be working, but because we are sacrificing a piece here basically. It's like 2 rooks for the queen. Black is going to win a minor piece, but yeah, let's say king takes f8. We have rook c7. And yeah, like let's just take this position. I don't really see how black keeps the piece. Which is a pun not intended. I don't see how black keeps the piece. Pun not intended. Because if you move the bishop, then rook c8 check wins the bishop. And the black queen on h6, of course, this is the key to all these lines. Black queen on h6 just can't get into the position. It can't make any kind of purchase on anything. Queen h5, white's rook just comes in to d7. White's king is always safe here. Oh, we have a move, guys. We have a move. Let's see. Do we think knight takes f8 is played? Let's see. Oh, no. He goes rook c7. No. Disappointing the fans. Wow. I was really not seeing an issue with knight takes f8. I was really not seeing it. Okay, guys. For our sanity, because we spent a long time analyzing the position, we did the work. I'm very curious myself. Let's check this one with Compy to see what the evaluation was here. Winning. He missed it. You guys can see the eval bar there. He missed it. Rook takes d1, rook takes d1, +2 and counting. After king takes f8, rook to c7 was best. Bishop takes b7 also possible, but rook c7 seems to be stronger, kind of not letting black bring the knight in. So yeah, we couldn't really find a way for black to keep the piece. And not only is it not equal, it's +4. White's just winning here because white gets the bishop back, then has 2 rooks for the queen, and then the 2 rooks are just dominating. We actually did a podcast very recently, it hasn't been released yet, on the queen and is the queen worth 10 points. And we argued for an hour about whether the queen, is worth 10. Is queen better than 2 rooks? 2 rooks versus queen. And this is definitely a case where, like in the end game, 2 rooks are just completely dominating the queen because they coordinate, they defend each other, and they're just hitting everything. His move might also be good. Yes, I don't really want to check and spoil it, so I'm gonna turn the engine off before we get back there. But yeah, knight takes f8. I think. To me, this looks like it was very strong. Rook c7 might also be good, but this to me looks like it was just winning. Queen is 9, not 10. Yes, that's the traditional thinking, but that's what the podcast was about because lately some of the engines, Larry Kaufman, he did a big analysis with Komodo over the last several years. I think he was saying that queen is actually worth 10 points. So hence the podcast. Hence we had, very interesting discussion about what the queen is actually worth. These days, to give you guys a very quick preview, I would say that the queen is generally better than the 2 rooks in the middle game, but worse in the end game. And so that's what it really depends on, is like what's happening on the rest of the board. So in the middle game with a lot of pieces, the queen is very active and is a very strong attacking piece. The rooks don't really have a lot of open files to work with. In the end game, as we're seeing here, like these lines basically go into the end game as a lot of pieces get traded off here. In the end game, rooks start to be very strong. And this is like, I would say, textbook example of where the rooks are just completely dominating over the queen. But if you change the positioning of the pieces around, then of course, queen is going to be much stronger. Okay, so let's get back to the game. So we see rook to c7 after what I thought was a long thought. I mean, the DGT here kind of corrected itself. Maybe he didn't think for that long on this move. I'm not really sure. It's possible the DGT got something wrong. It's actually Bilic that was thinking, or I don't know. But he ends up playing rook c7. If I see Armin later, I'll definitely ask him about knight takes f8. But it's interesting that he also, I don't know what exactly, I'd be so curious to hear what exactly he didn't like. Because for me, intuitively, knight takes f8 was not really a direction I was thinking about. Just like it didn't feel right. So I wonder if maybe he didn't even consider it, which could be possible. once we started looking at the lines concretely, it was not hard to just see how it's like knight takes f8, rook c7. It's just like all the lines are very straightforward. We're just giving checks on the back rank. Black's pieces are hanging. The queen has no counterplay. So to me, I feel like Armin could have calculated all these lines quite easily. So my instinct is that maybe he just didn't consider knight takes f8 so much. Maybe he didn't spend that much time here. I'm not really sure. Maybe rook c7 is simple and strong, and he doesn't have to sack his queen. Maybe this is also good, and he wants to win like this. But this is a big game for the tournament because Bilic is, of course, one of the leaders with 5.5 points. Mikhailian has 5 points, and so he is definitely looking to win this one and potentially join the leaders on 6. But a lot still depends on this board 2 game, where second seed in the tournament, Grandmaster Christopher Yu, is trying to win with black here, as he has quite a chaotic position. Rook to e5, again provoking and encouraging white to trade off the bishop here. And yeah, absolutely. When it comes to queen versus 2 rooks, it's really about the placement of the pieces, what pieces are on the board, who has more attacking chances, who has more targets, whose king is safer. You have to kind of balance all this in order to come up with a right evaluation, which definitely not easy to do. I would say evaluating positions with material imbalance, different sets of material, is probably one of the hardest things to do in chess, because it's not easy. It's like you're literally comparing apples to oranges. It's like people say you can't compare apples to oranges, but it's like here you're literally, you're forced to compare apples to oranges and figure out who's better. Also, I never really understood this phrase, comparing apples to oranges, because like you can compare apples to oranges, you can. They taste different. Oranges are, more citrusy. They can be a bit sour. Apples are, I feel like they're a bit sweeter. You have different kinds of apples. Some are more sour, some are sweeter, right? But you can still compare apples to, like, I don't know. Have people not, we go to a restaurant, you see a bunch of options on the menu and you pick one. What are you doing? You're comparing options, even though they're different, right? You're choosing between sandwich or pasta or salad or soup. You can't compare apples and oranges, but you can compare these other things. And then let's say, you're at a smoothie shop, you're ordering a smoothie, or you just want a piece of fruit. You're going to order an apple or an orange or a banana or something. You're comparing. So I just don't know what we're talking about, I just feel like you can compare. Apples are crisper. Sometimes you feel like an apple, sometimes you feel like an orange. Sometimes you feel like a banana. I guess what it's saying is that you can't say that like one apple is better than like one orange, because maybe for apples it's like a bad apple, and then for oranges it's like a good orange. I guess that's what if I had to try and explain, if I had to try and straight man the phrase, I guess that's how I would explain it. But like, I don't know. Anyway, in chess you do have to compare apples to oranges, and quite often, because sometimes you're going to get imbalances. You get stuff like this where you have bishop takes knight. Maurice Ashley calls this the Grandmaster Exchange, when you give up a bishop for a knight and create some imbalance. And you have to figure out, is this a good version for black or not? Now, one thing that is easy to compare is the time on the clock. And right now, black has 30 extra minutes here. It's a very sharp position. They're not getting any extra time other than the 30-second increment. So, yeah, this is very, very tricky for white. Like, his position objectively might not be that bad, although I do kind of like what black is doing. But yeah, the problem is you don't have a lot of time to figure it out. Maybe queen to d2, maybe bishop h4. There are a lot of reasonable moves here for white, but he's spending time because he wants to be very precise here. But it's not an easy position, and as the time ticks down, it's going to get harder and harder for him to maintain the balance here. So we're going to keep an eye on this one, board 2, because this is a very, very, very important game for our standings. I love how the chat just completely completely blew up with his apples and oranges talk. We were showing some fascinating lines. Queen sacrifice, 2 rooks for a queen, talking about structures, and I get it. Chad is just politely listening and respectfully listening, as if it was like a live audience. If it was a live audience, you guys wouldn't be heckling me. But but as soon as the conversation turns to apples versus oranges, the chat awakens. But anyway, so we'll keep an eye on this one. Board 1 already finished in draw, so both these players have 6 points. These two are on 5.5. If one of them wins, they will jump into the clear lead heading into the final round, which would be pretty huge, especially for Christopher, because he's playing black in this position. So if he wins this game, presumably next round he will have white with a lead over the tournament. That's very, very big. We also have board 3 here. Bilic has been thinking after white's move rook to c7, and yeah, a very, very instructive game here. Very thematic as well. I mean, honestly, like, this is one I'll have to go back and check, because for me, I thought that black was playing theory. Like, I thought this was all theory. Knight e5, queen to d6. I thought this was all known. Then white goes dc5, and I actually have no idea where black went wrong, because all of a sudden it feels like his position is much worse. Okay, he just played bishop takes g2. We're expecting king takes g2, the immediate recapture. And then black is going to have to find some move there. I don't know, rook to e8. But now the issue is that white has defended the knight on d7. And so if black can't get another attacker on this knight, white is ready to just unpin. And at a certain point, this knight on d7 is actually going to become strong, because it's deeply entrenched in black's territory. It's controlling a lot of squares, and it's protected. So what can black really do about this knight? Be very difficult to play around it. So this is looking good for white. I definitely like his position. And yeah, guys, I'm really curious. Maybe I'll check the theory here, because I'm just wondering where the players... I'm just very curious where the players left theory, because it just looked like it was just straight up good for white right from the opening. But where did black blunder? Where was black's mistake? Because we know at least with knight takes f8, white could have been winning. I think he's still much better now, but we know he was at least completely winning. So, yeah, clearly black made some mistake in the game. But where was it? Where was it? Okay, I open ChessBase. I open my database here. I'm just going to quickly play through the moves, and then I will let you guys know what we discover. So it was knight f3, d5, and yeah, we'll open up the online database. Yeah, I'm just very curious where the players left the book here. So it's here. There was e3, c5, knight c3, knight c6, takes, knight takes d5 still. Hundreds and hundreds of games there from that position. Queen d5, d4, rook a d8, the main move. Knight e5, queen d6. So dc5 is the main move. Okay, so basically the players have been following theory. Queen takes c5, knight to d7, lots of games there. And then queen f5 seems to be the main move in that position. Queen g5, it's possible, is a mistake, as was played in the game. It's queen f5. So I know I'm not showing it on the board. Let me just put it back here. So this is the key position where the main line is for black to play queen f5. So queen g5 might have been the mistake here. So let me check this one if this is indeed correct. Because after queen g5, white seems to be scoring very, very well. Indeed, h4, queen h6. And yeah, white is already winning there with rook to c1 and knight takes f8 as well. But okay, Armin's move rook c7 I'm sure is fine also. So I'm just curious, after queen f5, then that position is playable, basically equal for black if they know their stuff. Okay, so basically this was kind of opening disaster for Bilic, because this is a known line. He plays into this theory, but he just didn't know it deep enough. He goes queen to g5 here, allowing h4. And I think the other issue is that the queen on h6 is just much worse than the queen on f5 in all of those variations that we were looking at. So here, black is kind of surviving. Rook to c1, knight to b8 I saw was given. Sorry, with the line with queen f5. So here after queen f5, rook c1, and knight to b8. This is complicated. White can also throw an e4. Position is sharp, but it's a theoretical position. Objectively, black is okay. But he didn't know this, so he goes queen to g5. So he basically gets caught here. And now it looks like white just has a tremendous position. Bishop g2, king takes g2. Black just played rook e8, and now it's white's turn here. So let's think a little bit about how he might convert this one. Of course, you can take the pawn on a7. I don't see what black is going to do to you. But my instinct would be to try to unpin, like queen c2, bring the rook to d1, and now we can eventually pick up that pawn and just have kind of a dominating position. Black chose to compare apples to oranges, and his decision was a blunder. Indeed. Indeed. So this is looking good for Armin. He has a lot of moves here. Queen c2, queen e2, queen f3. Queen to g4 is possible as well. Kind of targeting g7. Eventually his other rook wants to come to d1 to support the knight. And of course he can think about rook takes a7 at any moment. So this is a big result. If white wins this game, that means he catches up to the current leaders. He'll have 6 points along with Zhaojin, Chao, Li, and Putnam that have already drawn. And then a lot will depend on the result of this board 2 game between Christopher Yu and Praneeth Vupala. So if we have a winner in this game, then they'll have a clear lead. Otherwise, we're going to have multiple way tie at the top going into final round. Now let's check this out. So rook e5, we did see bishop takes f6. White ultimately does go for it. gf, knight d2, f5. Very, very imbalanced position. Very, very imbalanced. Now, white has kind of the safer king here, it would seem, as we've opened up black's king. But on the other hand, black has more pawns on the king side. So, oops. I opened up picture-in-picture there. Black has more pawns on the king side. So it's not totally clear that white's king is safer, as black's king has more cover. But also black has the dark squares. And this is what makes me really like black's position here. So he's got queen f6 coming, rook to g8, bishop to d7. Feels like all of black's pieces are coming into play here. So personally, I was liking this position for black, but let's see how it plays out. So knight d2, f5, knight c4 hitting the rook. Rook drops back to e8. Now, of course, white can trade on d6 and trade off the dark squared bishop. Maybe this is what his intention is, because that's a very strong bishop for black to leave on the board. So he might be willing to go knight takes d6, queen takes d6, and now play the position from here. Maybe bishop c4, queen h5. And yeah, black's king here is definitely a bit airy, if I can get this arrow off. Queen h5, you got some checks on g5, queen g6. But yeah, actually this position I think not so simple, because black is blockading, but if the queen ever moves, then he's going to lose the blockade. So if he ever tries to like move the queen over to defend the king side a bit better, then he loses the blockade. White immediately pushes the d pawn. If white could push d6 here, white would instantly be better. Like queen f6, d6, then I think white is just much, much better here, because now d pawn is strong, bishop is fantastic, and you got weaknesses all over the board on the king side. So this is the position right now. It's not clear if white has to take on d6 at this very moment, but that is the option. And yeah, maybe he makes another move like queen to d2. Also looks tempting. Eyeing h6, queen f6, and then he could take here, and he kind of wins a tempo in this way by like not trading right away, but rather letting black spend a move. But 12 minutes here for Praneeth. Not a lot of time. So sharp position. Though I should say after knight takes d6, it does simplify a little bit. And I don't think this is really the hardest position for white to play. Queen to d2. You take here at some point. You try to bring the queen in. And these pawns, f5, e4, they could become targets. You know, the pawn on f5 could definitely be a weakness. Some g4 break at some point. So, yeah, actually, not sure. I think I may be a little bit over-optimistic for this one. For black, it seems. And, yeah, I would actually think white is probably okay objectively here. But the time is a problem. And so Christopher is definitely going to be putting pressure here on the clock. So that is not going to be easy. 12 minutes and under. Dude is just tanking. He just hasn't yet adjusted to the lower time. At some point, he's going to have to really just speed up his pace of play. So far, hasn't yet adjusted, but we'll see if he manages. Okay, so critical action here on board 2. Let's check in with our streamers, guys. Let's see how the streamers are doing. We had the Chess Nerd, who I think was a bit worse out of the opening here, and yeah, has gotten himself into an endgame. Knight versus bishop, the Grandmaster exchange, and this is the situation on the board. It's not looking great for the Chess Nerd because I feel like his pawns are very, very weak, especially the C and A pawns. So I'm a bit nervous about the endgame here for Zach. Rook to b3, rook to b4 is in the air, and yeah, rook to b3 played. Let's just see the last couple of moves. So black infiltrated here with the rook on d3. They traded a couple pawns to get into this endgame. And bishop on e5 is a very good piece. It is strong, but it's like white's rooks are just way too passive. So the rest of white's position here is just not managing to activate. So rook to b3 played, and now 15 minutes for Zach to try and navigate this position. Not easy at all. He's desperately looking for some kind of counterplay on the king side, but it's very slow. f5, g4, g5. Maybe that's the plan, but black is picking up some pawns here very, very quickly. So this one is looking troublesome for white. I think black is just much better here, just on first glance. If he has a way to save this, I'd be very, very impressed, I think. Okay, so tough hold here for Zach, the Chess Nerd. Let's check out Joe Bruin. Joe's position I liked up until white played this move b4, which completely rocked the house, forcing bishop back to b6, trades on b6, a takes b6, f4 played, and yeah, this middle game I was liking for white because bishop comes to b2. We have f5 and f6 in the cards, just weakening the king side. So this one looked very, very dangerous to me. Queen h4 though, black fighting back. If f5, of course, he's going to bring the knight to e5 and then maybe to g4 one day. So bishop c4 played. Queen back to f6. Not sure why. Oh wait, no, knight on d4 is hanging. So okay, defends the knight. And this is our live position. So actually, we haven't had a lot of moves here. Both players have been spending a lot of time in this position from queen f6. And, okay, what is happening here in this position? Bishop e3 is there, bishop to b2. Definitely like white's dark squared bishop here. Probably I would put the bishop on e3 because you want to keep this one defended. Although bishop on b2, looks beautiful. Actually, bishop to b2 here, it's like tactically you can get away with it. If knight takes f4, we have knight to d5, which looks brutal. We have rook takes here. And queen takes d4, just winning 2 pieces for the rook. So bishop to b2, I think, is heck of a move here, looking for knight to d5, which feels very unpleasant for black. Oh, he wants knight d5, knight f3 check. Okay, that's a big idea. So on knight d5, he still has knight f3 check. Oh, and in the live position, so queen f6. If knight d5 here, yeah, very important. If knight d5 here, which looks like it wins a piece, he has knight check somewhere. Knight e2, knight f3. Not sure where. Maybe here. But does the queen get trapped? Doesn't the queen potentially get trapped here? Okay, we have queen d4 check. Bishop e3, queen b2. And no trap, it seems. No way to pick up the queen. So it looks like black would be okay here with the exchange. f5, knight e5, f6. Okay, maybe it's still complicated here. Who knows what's going on, but yeah, who knows what's going on. Who knows what's going on. Knight e7 check was there. But at least this is black's intention. I think it's clear. Otherwise, after knight d5, you just resign because you're losing the piece on d4. So what else are you going to do here? But bishop to b2 is still there. And eventually, this is going to be a problem. Like, okay, white maybe will have to spend a timeout to go rook to b1. But once something is defended on this diagonal, knight d5 is coming. Knight d5 is coming, knight e2 is coming, so black will have to go c6 somewhere. That's weakening as well. I would say clear edge for white, not like winning advantage, not decisive, but let's say clear edge for white's position. Okay, let's check in on board 4, see how we were doing here. We have a number of players on 4.5 points that are trying to catch up. Matvishyn actually, I think, has 5 points. So if he was able to win this game, he would join the leaders with 6 out of 8. And, oh, look at this, guys. Speaking of queen versus 2 rooks, we end up getting this imbalance here. Rook e1, queen e7, and now knight f4. Knight f4, just giving the 2 rooks for the queen. Controversial decision, but this is a position where the queen might actually be better than the rooks in a lot of cases because there's a lot of pieces on the board and the queen has a lot of potential avenues. Queen to b8, white is eyeing here. But I'm not sure, I'd be very, very nervous to give up the 2 rooks like this for the queen. I would not be sure at all. But very bold decision by Tadev here to play knight f4 and give the 2 rooks. Rook went back to e8, and here white plays knight to e2. Now white doesn't have a pawn, so it's queen for 2 rooks flat, but knight came back to e2. White wants to infiltrate with the queen here. Queen to c7. And yeah, it's annoying for black because there's targets, there's weaknesses. You have to keep everything defended. So 2 rooks might be worth more than the queen in a lot of cases, but when the queen has targets, it starts to feel much more complicated than that. So we'll see how black handles this one. Of course, if rook e7, there's just queen b8 check, and you don't have king h7, so you have to go back, and then this would be a problem. So somehow black has to figure out how to consolidate. Rook c6 is there to just cover the infiltration square, but then bishop to b5 is an issue. So what move is black going to make? Rook c8 maybe. Maybe rook to c8 to cover c7. Now, would you want to trade minors as black here with bishop to a6? I'm not sure. I think in general you would want to trade off with the 2 rooks versus the queen. But concretely, what's happening here? Not sure, actually. This definitely feels like a very tempting move because if takes, then knight is hanging, a2 is hanging. This one is kind of awkward for white. On the other hand, you kind of pull your bishop off the long diagonal, which is not always what you want to do. So I wonder how white would respond to this one. Maybe knight f4 back? Doesn't seem like that's what you want to do. But maybe knight f4 and then saying, well, if you trade on d3 now, knight takes d3. And yeah, I'm targeting the c pawn. And again, white has some weaknesses. But as more pieces come off the board, like if we traded knights here, then I would definitely think that black is going to be better with the 2 rooks. Okay, we'll see if the Grandmaster can Grandmaster this one out to a win. Let's jump back to board 2. Praneeth Vupala down to under 8 minutes here. And in this position, instead of taking on d6 like I thought he might, he ends up going queen c1, rook to b8, queen h6, and he allows black to keep the dark squared bishop. Bishop f8. Queen went to f4. Now rook to b4. Now black's pieces are activating. And yeah, this position is extremely double-edged. Bishop is coming to g7. Rook to b4 just played very nice move to pin white's knight on c4 against the rook on d4. Otherwise, white really wants to put the knight on e3 and go after the f5 pawn. If allowed, white would be kind of crushing here, but rook to b4. Chess is a concrete game. And yeah, seems very hard here for black to come up with something. I mean, for white, seems very hard for white to come up with something because black is just very, very active. And 6.5 minutes, so this is definitely a critical game for us here. Board 3 is also getting critical, 12 minutes for Bilic after white's move queen f3. One of the options we were looking at, just unpinning the knight and yeah, dominating with this guy. Looks like rook takes a7 is coming. The more the game continues, the more I'm starting to think that, you know, earlier we were looking at knight takes f8 here for some time. We thought that was good for white. We confirmed the engine it was good for white. But the more I'm looking at this game, the more I think Armin probably realized that, but decided that this was just simpler. Like here, he doesn't have to win 2 rooks versus the queen. He doesn't have to deal with like counterplay. Here, he's just kind of dominating. He's about to win 1 pawn on a7, maybe 2nd pawn on b6. And it's just going to be decisive advantage for white. Not much more to say other than that. Chess is a fun game. But let's keep our eyes on board 2 because I think this one is just quite chaotic. Queen f4, rook b4, and rook back to d1 played. Sensible move, unpinning the knight and preparing to go knight e3, for example, or d6. So black can take the pawn on e4 here, but then I think he has to deal with d6, which is not a super fun threat. Bishop d7, maybe it's not so bad, but at least here white starts to get their own play going in the position. The extra pawn certainly doesn't matter here. White is rather just trying to play against the king side. So rook to d1, I'm really not expecting rook takes a4 here. I feel like black is going to keep playing for activity. Maybe a5, bishop a6 is a thought. But a5, white will drop back knight e3. Bishop g7 is always there, of course. Black has other moves like improving the queen, queen to f6, bishop h6. So a lot of options for Christopher. Now, he's been playing fast this tournament. I feel like he's been putting a lot of pressure on his opponents on the clock. And there we go, queen f6. Yeah, bringing the queen out and opening up the possibility of playing bishop to h6. And now this is tough for white. Yeah, I like this move because it kind of plays against knight e3, which would be a very nice square for the knight because now bishop to h6, you get hit. Maybe there's knight g4, though. Tactics, guys. Tactics. Tacticos. Bishop takes f4, knight takes f6, check. And I'm hitting the rook. Yeah, this is good for white, actually. Okay, trick of the season. Knight e3, bishop h6, knight g4. Love it. Absolutely love it. d6 played. d6 played. White decides to just push the pawn. Also a very reasonable move. Here I would expect bishop to d7 from black to blockade. Could also consider rook to d8, I think, but bishop to d7 just somehow feels like the most compact move. Defends the rook on e8 just in case, blockades the pawn. Just nice to blockade the pawn so they just can't push physically. So we'll see what Christopher does. He's thinking a little bit here. I would kind of expect him to play a bit faster because that seems to be his strategy. But maybe bishop to d7, there is something to calculate. Or maybe he's considering bishop h6 first, maybe a brick to d8 just to try and go after the pawn. Maybe another move. Okay, my bet is on one of these three moves. Bishop d7, rook d8, bishop h6. I feel like that's one of those three moves. Seems like most likely. So, predictions chat. What move are we expecting here? I'll give you three options, or you can come up with your own option if you would like. Bishop e6, a fourth option. Bishop e6. Okay, actually also a very tempting move because attacking the knight, and you can still play rook to d8 to try and round up the pawn. And this knight on c4 is very important for white. But after white goes knight e3 here, or if white goes knight e3, black still doesn't have bishop h6 because of knight g4. Trick of the season. After bishop h6, there might be d7, but bishop h6, d7 takes. Oh, queen g3 check. Oh, Kalen's so tricky. Kalen's so tricky. Queen g3. White wins a piece. Oh, nice trick. Okay, so that's important detail. Bishop h6, there is d7. Very nice. So bishop e6. Now he doesn't really have to worry about d7 because the rook can blockade on d8. And his rook is very, very solid here. But 5 minutes for white. Oh, very tough position. Very, very tough position. I feel like this is starting to look really, really nice for black. But he can still go knight e3. So he still has knight e3. Then I guess I would expect rook d8 first, hitting the pawn, and then setting up bishop h6 under much better circumstances. So now bishop h6, knight g4, I think, would not be as good for white. Yeah, I think black would be fine there. So, 4 minutes for the Grandmaster from India. He's under heavy pressure from the American junior, Christopher Yu. Bishop e6. Knight on c4 is hanging. What's it do for white? Nothing here really looks amazing. Like b3, black just takes. Rook to c1. Maybe rook c1 and then bring the other rook to d1. I feel like this possibly is the most compact thing you can do, like rook d8, rook d1, and just try to hang on to everything. But as we can see, black is already itching to win a pawn and is ready to take and take on d6, for example, at any moment. So this one definitely looking good for Christopher. And once again, guys, these are two of the leaders here, 5.5 points each. So if we have a decisive result here, we're going to have a clear leader going into the final round of the National Open, one of the biggest open tournaments in the United States, coming down to the wire here in the last couple of games. 3 minutes for Praneeth. He's got to come up with an idea here. Knight is currently hanging. If d7, rook to d8. He's calculating furiously. He's trying to find some forcing lines to maybe clarify the position, but it's hard to do. Pieces are staying on the board. Black's bishops are pumping. Okay, comes up with knight to e5. Knight e5. I think threatening d7, rook to d8, and knight to c6. Ooh, very cagey move because you walk into bishop g7, you walk into bishop h6. But once again, on all these moves, white is looking to play d7. Let's say rook d8, knight c6 with a nasty fork. And this would be winning for white. It's just winning the rook. If bishop h6, then we have d7 anyway. Rook d8, queen g3 check, Kalin's trick. King goes somewhere and then knight c6 again. Looks to be good for white. So I don't think black really has a good bishop move here. I think got to do something with this rook on b4, which is now doesn't seem to be very well placed and is just hanging under the threat of knight c6. Very resourceful move. Yeah, absolutely. Now objectively it might not be good, but objectively white might have been in trouble anyway. So what are you going to do? You got to try something. Okay, rook takes b2. I think very logical move from Christopher. He just plays it quickly. He's like, all right, I got to get this rook off of b4. I can take a pawn. I can take with tempo. I can put my rook on the second rank. That's all I need to make this move. So bishop on e2 is hanging. White can throw this in, but then just rook to d8. If knight c6, rook takes d7. And this seems like white's position is falling apart a little bit. Maybe white can consider bishop takes pawn like this. But now bishop to g7, bishop h6, black can start getting the dark square bishop out. Maybe start with rook to d8. Although knight c6, rook d7, knight e5, rook takes d6. Might not be good for white either. Okay, less than 3 minutes remaining. Close to 2 now for Praneeth. He does have the 30-second increment, but over the board, it's very, very hard to play accurate chess while you only have so few moves. The bishop h6, yes, still walks into knight g4. Thank you. Important point. So here, bishop h6 would still walk into this one, and white would be winning. Takes with check, and targeting the rook, or it can take the bishop. Or if king g7 takes the rook with check. So we're not going to see bishop h6, so that's why I was expecting a rook to d8 here mostly to avoid this this fork after knight f6 check, but also to improve the rook and to keep white's passed pawn under lock and key, right? Like we're often taught that we should do. Nimzovich, my system. Okay, bishop a6. Christopher, is he going to continue to put pressure on the clock here? As white is just going to be in time trouble for the rest of the game. So what other moves can we come up with? There's rook to b6 as well. I kind of like rook to b6 actually, because it hits the bishop and covers c6 square. But after bishop to b5, though, rook to d8, d7, white's pawn is strong. Maybe there's some knight c6 ideas in the air. But knight c6 right now, rook d7, of course, but still. At least white gets this kind of nice, like, crystal grip. Pawn on a4, defending the bishop. Bishop defends pawn on a4. That's rock solid. Bishop defends this pawn. Knight defends pawn. Queen defends knight. Rook defends rook. Rook defends rook. So everything is defending everything. And it's very, very solid here for white. Do they get bonus time after 40 moves in this tournament? They do not. They do not, because it's 2 rounds per day. So it's just a straight 90 minutes plus 30 seconds time control. So that's it. White here is going to be relying on the increment for the rest of the game. Okay, so I think Christopher's thinking about this bishop b5, d7 thing and not really wanting to allow that, but what choice does he have? I feel like he's calculating here something. Queen g7? Cheeky mate threats? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Let's see what will happen in this game. In the meantime, while Christopher is thinking, we'll keep an eye on this one. Let's jump to board 3. Oh, bishop to b3. Okay. Whoa, bishop b3. Okay, unexpected tactic. Unexpected tactic. Double attack. Double attack. Uh-oh. What's white supposed to do here? He does have knight to g4. He has knight g4 tempo, but then black maybe moves the queen like queen g7. and everything is still hanging. You can also take on f5, I guess, but then we're taking on e5. Okay, so d7, right? You got to start with d7. If you have any chance here, it has to be d7. And then rook d8. Yeah, and then knight on e5 at least is not hanging. But rook on d1 is hanging, and he wants to take on a4. So Christopher's idea is like d7, rook to d8, rook moves somewhere, and then maybe he tries to take on a4 and then eventually pick up this pawn. But f5 is hanging, so I'm a little bit confused how this is supposed to work. d7, what does he want? Rook d8, he can't allow queen. Rook d4. Or maybe knight c6, playing for compensation. Yeah, so like d7, rook d8, knight c6. I don't want to make moves on the board because white only has 1 minute, so we're going to see his move here very, very soon. And we can just kind of analyze along with him. But yeah, why is he thinking? I mean, okay, he wants to make sure that, you know, d7 is the move he wants to play, because maybe queen f5, maybe knight g4 is there. Before you make a move, you do kind of want to make sure that this is your main move. But he is losing precious time, precious seconds. d7, rook d8 is going to get blitzed out, and then he's going to, of course, have to come up with a move there. Yeah, for example, another option, knight g4, queen g7, queen takes f5, and knight f6 check is a threat. Absolutely. Absolutely. What's happening here? This is the hardest part about time trouble. Sometimes you have more than one tempting option. You can't calculate either one of them out until the end, and you just have to pick. And what do you do? He goes for a third move, bishop c4. Bishop c4 played. And that's a key point too, actually. After d7, rook to d8, this bishop is hanging. Actually, so here white would be losing material anyway. Very important point. Okay, that explains why not d7. So Grandmaster strong, and we here are like, why doesn't he just play d7? D7 only move. Just go d7 and then think, okay, maybe d7 actually loses on the spot. So bishop to c4. Bishop c4, actually fantastic move he found. Look at this guy. Like, he's fighting so well here. If bishop takes d1, now bishop takes f7 check. And what's going on? What about queen takes e5? Then I think he wants to trade and then push d7 here. And okay, bishop e7, but he'll be winning back his piece, his material. Yeah, I could have done bishop c4 after d7 as well. That's true. So takes here, bishop c4, and now Christopher to move. 41 minutes. Hello, hello.
What's up, bro?
You want to join? Come in.
Can I join you?
Yes.
Okay.
On in, pull up a chair.
Horrible. I looked up and looked at Zach's game back when I thought it was even and he could still win, and then I saw him walk past me. I said hi. He looked like he was super ultra dead and just like hates life. And then I don't understand how he threw the game. What happened?
I'm not sure, actually. I haven't seen it in a while. Folks, we got Tony joining us from the Chess Sharks. Shout out, Tony. You had a bye this round. Practical decision.
100%. I was out till 4 a.m. last night with Canty, bro. It was good, though.
4 a.m.
Yeah, we won on the tables.
Good for you.
But not that we promote that. Don't follow my decisions,
no.
Okay?
It's a bad idea. Bad.
100% it's a bad idea. It wasn't good.
Yeah, anyways, we're here for the chess.
I asked about chess when I first got here. Okay?
Yes.
You let me go on.
My bad. My fault. Bishop c4. So this game is very critical between Christopher Yu, Perneath Bhupal on board 2. White having 36 seconds here. But he just came up with an amazing move. Bishop to c4.
Hi, Tony. What's up, bro?
In order to try to salvage his position. I mean, everything is hanging here. Knight on e5 is hanging. Rook on d1 is hanging. White's losing material. If d7, rook to d8, and then this guy is hanging too. So bishop to c4
is like the best of the worst.
Possibly saves everything, yeah, because like f7 is hit, and now black trades on c4. He has knight c4.
Okay.
And he defends the pawn.
My first thought is to take on E5, but maybe the pawn gets through?
But yeah, if you take on E5, there's D7 always. Exactly. Bishop E7? Hold on. Can black hold like this?
Well, but then you have check and take on B3, right?
Ah, check here.
Yeah.
Nice. Absolutely. King somewhere, and then white gets the piece back, and then this pawn is still really strong.
Yeah. And then you'll sack the A pawn to deflect.
Okay, we have moves.
Oh, with the queen.
Takes this way. Okay.
Oh,
So D7. Queen
Oh,
G7.
what? Queen G7? Wow.
G7.
Wow.
What a trick.
Look, there's chalky mate on the board. Damn. Okay.
He hits G2, and now he's going to save the rook. This might be over, but wait, why didn't white trade and go D7? What was the issue here? I mean, he has bishop E7, but...
Maybe he thought it wasn't enough.
So bishop E7, okay, here.
Sack, takes.
We get this endgame.
Rook B8.
Rook B8, there's bishop C4.
Oh yeah, he hit the other one.
takes.
Hit the other one.
But let's say he just takes here. We get this rook endgame. I guess you're in trouble here as white. Yeah, I mean, you're down a pawn. This is very strong. Rook is coming behind to A3. Yeah, no, I think you're just busted here. Okay.
Agreed.
So I think he realized he's losing here, so he tries D7, but he might have missed queen G7. I mean, that's
a cold shower.
That is freezing shower.
And with a minute left, that hurts.
Okay, he finds rook D2.
That can't be enough.
But just rook D8. Because rook on B2 is defended. So he was kind of hoping like, okay, you trade, queen takes, you save the rook, I win the piece, but Christopher's too strong for that.
No. He's a monster.
Just rook D8.
Chris don't play like that.
Yeah. Wow. I think he's winning this. I mean, he's piece up.
Wait, so if he wins, he's clear first?
If he wins, he's half a point ahead of the field. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's still queen takes F5. No, but rook is hanging.
Rook.
Yeah. You can trade, but then bishop is still hanging as well. So yeah, you're like trading pieces here as white, one way or the other. And black is...
Okay, I guess you first, you take on B3 first, I think.
Mm-hmm.
To try to deflect the threat and attention.
Right.
And then on F5. Yeah.
Yeah, it takes.
Yeah.
He did that with like 1 second.
I think you take on F5.
And take on F5, and yeah, you just try to pray.
But E3 is like...
Yeah, E3 is there.
Gosh.
Black has easy blockade. Wait, question. Was there rook B2 and queen G5?
No. Oh, wait. Queen G5.
So yes, I guess black has this one to throw in. But then rook D1, B1. Tricky. Hold on. Rook B2, queen B2, queen G5 check.
It's not looking good.
This looks good for white. No, queen G7 is take, and then
that's the problem.
like your pawn is promoting.
Wait. You take on F1. Here it's bad.
Oh wait, there's mates.
Yeah. And the E3 pawn might be just as fast. Because you get bishop E7 if you give him a tempo.
So did Christopher calculate all this? Like,
I mean, he's the one with 40 minutes, right?
yeah, he sees this like here, takes. Okay, but white can still move the rook, like rook D1.
Okay, but are you fast enough? E3.
E3, queen E8.
Whoa. Wait. Bishop D5.
Okay.
I might get you. Oh, gosh. Bishop D5. Shut up. You bug.
No, I don't think it's good. It takes it. I think
He tried to get me. He tried to bull.
No, bishop D5. Very nice move. Guys, you can't take because of mates.
Yeah. You gotta cover your ranks, chat.
But I don't. Christopher didn't spend that much time here, so I feel like he couldn't have seen all this. I don't know. I think they might have blundered this rook b2. Okay,
there's the f5.
this is now on the board. e3, rook d4. d4. I mean, white
Rook
desperately
d4.
trying, but can he not take?
Well, then you do it all again. Take and check and you lose the rook, but I think you still die.
I guess takes on where, b3?
Oh, I think this version's word. No, I think queen g5 and he takes
Oh,
d8
queen
again.
g5. Oh, like this. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
he goes back to this.
Uh-huh.
But I think he's just bullshitting.
But this is,
I don't think
this
it
should
works.
be, it should be enough for black. I think black should be faster here.
I think he's just desperate. I mean, 40 seconds, like, it's all you can do.
Yeah, no. White has, no time, basically. Yeah, so he's just hoping this works.
Super hope. But it's going to take Christopher, like, not even 2 minutes. It shouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm always so impressed with how fast these guys are.
No, it's
Okay.
wild.
Let's go back because we didn't figure this out, right? And so I have a policy where I don't figure, if I tried, I didn't figure it out, I check with comp because I want to know like what was going on here. Rook b2. You're curious as well?
Of course.
Okay, let's see. So rook b2. Bishop takes c4. So it was he probably had this in mind. Because queen b2, queen g5, this is indeed good for white. Although after queen g7, the idea is bishop takes f7. Okay.
Oh, okay. We're not.
Sick move.
Okay.
Whatever.
Because that bishop sort of was saving.
But, okay, the interesting thing here is he was going to take here. But then I wasn't sure, like, rook d1, rook b1. But rook d1, I guess, it's like bishop d3 maybe. Just covers everything. There's other moves, but, okay, basically good for black.
Yeah.
This pawn's not going there. Even queen g4.
Wow, that's a.
I guess white just has nothing with this pawn. Like, rook c2, bishop.
Oh, yeah, you get the bishop.
You just can't do anything.
You always get the
with
pawn.
This guy. Yeah, bishops are just dominating. Okay.
Gross.
So he had that one under control. And rook d4, e2 played by Christopher. Rook e1.
E2's.
Yeah, already just
E2's
throws
mean.
in e2.
E2's mean.
And yeah, now feels like he can just take and win directly, right? Like check.
We'll go back.
Here. Here, and like rook d3 maybe. Something like this.
C3 should be plenty.
Yeah,
And
maybe
you
there's
should
other
never
moves.
take.
Queen c3.
It just hurts. Oh. Wait,
Although,
check
wait,
again. Check again.
Yeah, there's check. Also, I think maybe this might be working now with the perpetual.
Dude, you'd be so depressed. If Christopher slips a perpetual, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, no, not gonna happen. Rook b1.
Wow. Rook b1. Unnecessary, I think. Unnecessary.
Unnecessary.
Yeah. I think there's an easier way to win, but this is flashy.
No, this is gorgeous. This is beautiful. I love this.
But okay, the best part about this is when you have 20 seconds like this guy, and you get hit with this, bro. You just sit back and say,
You just
thanks
collapse.
for the game.
Yeah, you just collapse. Like there's nothing you can do.
You're like, okay, you know what? Like you deserve the win. You like put me in my place.
Rook to b1. I mean, what a nice move. Very, very. He hangs the rook to two pieces. If rook takes b1, his idea, guys, is queen d4, and now in queen g5 check, white gets mated by force with queen d1. So he takes with queen,
and now he's going to show
d4,
us.
and now it's just consolidating, just picking up the pawn, and it's just extra bishop for black. I mean, it's still like some work to do to win this one, because you have the wrong color rook pawn, but
I mean,
Christopher's gonna win.
Yeah, this is because he's also going to make it easy. He's going to force a trade here. Anything move, queen d1.
Yeah. Either queen d1 or queen a4 is coming next.
So he probably plays rook e1.
Probably
you
rook
take
e1.
the pawn.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, you have to convert this, but the extra piece is gonna be felt.
Got it.
You just start using the bishop d6, queen f4, and yeah, it's just kind of over.
You just
So very
Just
nice
crying.
game by Christopher. There's a question, did he get the time edge due to just playing fast or because he won the opening battle or something else? I think he just played faster than the opponent in the middle game. White spent a lot of time on some decisions.
This is a terrible version.
Yeah, he's able to build up the big
one.
time advantage. Yeah, I think you just trade queens here. Yeah, for sure. And then rook here, you'll stop the pawn. And
wait. Here's a technique. We need technique. Rook goes over.
Here?
Yeah. This is the instruction. You move the rook up, and you stop it on the dark square. Technique, chat. And then you bring your bishop in. You see that, chat?
Look at that.
Don't let him push it. Make it easy for yourself.
Look at that. It's beautiful. And then bishop b4, and yeah, you're getting this pawn. Now, even without the f pawn, I think it's still winning for black. Or like, well, I don't know the 2 pawns. But if you traded 1 pawn off, it's still winning. But with the f pawn, then it's yeah, just totally over. But he goes queen a4.
Freaking Christopher, you
maximalist.
Killed my moment. Come on, Chris.
He wants rook to d1 now.
Wow. He's just mean. I think he's just trying to like make him crack in the 20 seconds and not play it out.
Yeah, he just wants to finish it off here because they have the final round coming up, in 2 hours. So it's going to be a big game ahead of him. But he, with a win, again, he's half point ahead of the field. So he's going to have white and in control of the whole tournament.
Chad, I wouldn't say you need fast play. I think the real dissonance here is that Christopher Yu just calculates that much faster and better.
Yeah.
It's not needed. But also, having no second time control means the time pressure is real.
Right. So there's no second time control. It's 90 plus 30. He has very fast calculation. But also, I should say, it's not like this only plays in his favor. Christopher lost in round 2 of the tournament to Zoe Tang. And he was way ahead on the clock in that one. But his position was sus, and Zoe punished him and won very nice endgame.
Dude, Zoe's a beast.
Yeah. Actually, I want to check on her game. I think Christopher's winning this one. Zoe was playing Alice Lee today. Actually, we haven't seen this game.
Let's go, Alice. I'm sorry. Not to be... not to have favorites.
Big matchup. But you're an Alice fan, huh?
Yeah, bro.
Okay. No,
I think...
Who isn't?
She's helping U.S. chess in so many ways, and I like to see it. It's like, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely one of the brightest stars in U.S. chess. Zoe, by the way, having an amazing tournament. For anyone not following, she actually hasn't lost a game, I think.
Oh.
No, she did lose last night, the first game, but before that, she was basically undefeated against GM, IM, GM, GM. That's like 2 wins as well.
Bro, that's IM performance. That's.
Oh no, she was close to GM performance, even with the loss.
Dang.
Close to GM performance. Yeah.
Dude, she needs to upgrade to IM already.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. She's.
What she need? 100 rating?
100 points. Yeah.
Okay, that's a grind. That's a grind, but.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately for her, I think Alice is doing very well in this one.
Much better end. Not enough pressure. Down 2 pawns. Down 1 pawn.
Although, wait, hold on. There's still. Wait.
But I mean, like, rook h4 takes king h3. Like, surely you're okay. Maybe queen f5 check afterwards.
I guess it's not as easy. Yeah, I thought like white's just have a pawn, but no, actually, here queen f5 and.
Wait. But then rook b4.
Oh, it's b5.
No, oh shoot, it's not there yet. There's like a trick here somewhere. Like you sack a rook and play back rank mate again, but.
But I think he's I think black's okay here, but maybe white's a little bit better. Like rook e4, rook e7.
Also good.
Maybe I would start with this one to provoke g6.
Actually, g6 would be nice.
And then here, so that this comes with like. So there's no rook here. I guess there's still rook h5, but then this rook is like. Yeah, white is better here, but I don't know if it's enough to win because black has easy counterplay with this b5.
Oh man.
But
that's why I like rook b4. I was kind of holding up, but maybe there's something outside of this.
Wow. By the way, this is a very cool moment we walked into. Like rook b8, Alice just played bishop takes f6. That's where we joined the game.
Like a G.
G. So yeah, gf6, rook h4. She calculated as
now
just
you can't defend.
decisive. But rook takes f6 here. Maybe she missed queen f8. She might have overlooked this one. Very easy move to miss.
Okay, maybe no. There's like checks in between. Shoot.
It's also possible to just take on b7. Let's say take king h3.
It's like the lame version. Wait, no. Take on b7 and then queen c8 check, maybe.
True. Okay, I blundered that, but thankfully I have queen d7.
Oh, okay. Whew. That's that I am luck right there.
Yeah, exactly. The I am touch.
Okay.
But other than check, is there something? Because white's king, I mean, does not look safe. But the problem is you can't move your queen off the back rank so easily.
I still don't love this. Is there no other move? It's like the big moments.
Here?
Yeah, the big moments
Yeah,
here.
let's
I
think here.
Can't. Like, good on Alice to tank here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, it's a critical moment. Christopher, you, by the way, did convert that position, guys. Here was the final moves. It ended tactically. Rook h3.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He's just mean. He's putting him in his place.
Yeah,
Blitz game.
Yeah, clearly had something to show this game. But let's go back to Alice, see what she's going to...
Okay. What if you take on b7 with the other rook?
Okay. But we get same thing, right? Takes and black can trade if they wanted.
Yeah, okay.
And in this position,
I don't hate it.
I'm a bit puzzled by the evaluation, but I actually think white is maybe even winning. Because if you don't have any like immediate threats, I'm just going like rook d7 or rook d8. And it's like, how do you defend your king?
Well, I mean, you... Wait. Sir... No, there's h5.
Okay, h5. Let's say rook d7.
Yeah, queen check, and then you plant your rook on a5, I think.
Yeah.
And maybe you can hold.
Maybe. But it's pawn down for black, and I would say, like, kind of miserable, honestly.
I mean, look, I want Alice to win, so I'm all about this. I just kind of want her to win a bit more fancier here.
You want
I wish
her
there was a bit.
to win in style. Huh. Okay. But chess is sometimes not so easy, you know?
No, it's brutal. It's like a bad cold sometimes.
Okay, Kalen suggests queen d4 with idea take, queen f7. Also possible.
Yeah, I mean...
Let's say check. King moves. Queen e5. Rook b7. Rook takes b7.
Takes...
White wins. But here I think
go back.
I think white's better, but
I think it's a less good version, actually.
less good version, right?
Because the queen gives you draw odds, perpetuals,
Yeah.
forks. Keeping the queen is a win for black.
Yeah, it's like hard to see exactly how white makes progress here. But Alice is taking her time. I think it's very smart because I think she wants to like really figure it out. You don't want to just allow rook takes f2 against your king and just be like, yeah, whatever. Like king h3, I'm fine. Like you want to really be sure.
Like, there is a world where maybe rook f4 is all right, but...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, rook f4 is an option, but I didn't quite see it. So, okay, it does take on b7. Now, Zoe's been calculating this whole time, so she, I'm sure, has something ready here. Probably will take on f2 first.
I mean, it's the only thing to do is black.
Yeah.
You don't do this, you resign.
So probably takes f2.
Isn't that the cutest little camera ever?
It is. It's travel size.
Like this one? Yeah, the meat.
Not sponsored.
No,
Not yet.
Not yet. Obspot. Email us. Okay, takes. Expecting king h3.
Is there ever perpetual with rook h2, or is that just nonsense?
Yeah, I'd be.
Wait, don't you hide on g5?
I'd be skeptical because it feels like there's a lot of open squares for the king. So king just kind of walks up and.
I was wanting to get queen h1 taking the rook on, like when there was a rook just hanging on b7.
Oh.
I guess you might get back on queen b8 anyways in that line. Like takes on b2 first, but I think you maybe never get queen h1 check.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, king comes to g4 and just not in time for black. So king h3. Now Zoe's thinking.
I mean, if you're Zoe, you hope that she doesn't find queen e7, but
Let's see. You're hoping she doesn't find queen d7?
no, queen e7 after take and queen c8.
This one?
Yeah.
So it just resigns then? It's like, okay, good game. It's rigged d7. I don't know. Okay, this one would be, yeah, it would be nice for black, wouldn't it? I guess she's thinking maybe not to trade because maybe she keeps the rook for like more back rank chances.
What? No.
That's
No. I don't know about this.
I don't know. I would think about this for black because if you feel like rook b7, if you don't get counterplay here, you are just kind of cooked.
Hold up. Let me cook up. Hold up. Rook 8. Okay, well, you need the light square still.
8. 1 minute for Zoe. She's very, very concrete.
Maybe you're right. Maybe rook e8's the practical try.
It might be. I think if you're kind of worse either way.
But it would only, I think it only really works if Alice was the one with like a minute left and she was cooking up. Rook e8's like really, really troublesome.
With Zoe having a minute, yeah, it's tough. Yeah, she does trade.
Damn.
The other thing is, okay, on rook e8, like, white could take here.
Actually, this is
And queen d7,
wait, no.
like,
queen d4.
Wait, queen d4 just wins the rook.
queen d4, rook f6 still. It's there.
He's an IM.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, guys. But like queen d7, you're potentially picking up another pawn, like maybe you take here. But like this one, it's like, it's probably winning for white, but it's not easy actually. Like this can be really, really tricky to convert.
But with 20 minutes, we believe in Alice.
Yeah, no, probably
got
she would
it.
win. Yeah. But Zoe takes, and now needs something.
Wait, what does this put Alice if she wins?
Alice wins this. I think she is on 4.5 points. Yeah, so she'll have 5.5 out of 8. So definitely in contention for a decent placing.
Dang, go her.
Yeah.
All she needs is that rating now. I think she has all the norms.
No, I am already.
I'm for GM.
Oh, for GM.
Yeah, no, bro, she's on the Rata GM.
I don't think she has 3 norms, but
Really? She has for sure 2.
I think she has maybe 1.
No.
Maybe 2.
She's had such good performances.
At least 1.
To think she didn't eke some out.
Do the U.S. Championship, do those count as normal tournaments, or do they need international
Well,
players?
I think it's the foreign player that stops you.
No, actually, U.S. Championship does count. It's so the question is about norms. Like if you can get a championship in a U.S. Championship, you can get a norm in the U.S. Championship. Normally, you can't without foreign players, but with national championships, they get an exemption.
Wow.
Because it's like such a prestigious event that it's
Yeah.
like, okay, you can get a norm. And it has happened. People have gone on like IM norms, maybe GM norms as well. Okay, so we do see this rook endgame. I guess Zoe just
There's
couldn't find
H5.
something better, but this feels really nice for white. I mean, black's rook is active actually. Hold on, rook f2. I guess rook e7 would be my.
I mean, not rook a7.
Well, this one actually.
Wouldn't you rather the outside pawn? Isn't that okay? But you're okay.
I think
I
this
see
is
what you're
really
saying.
good.
You're a little stuck.
Chances for black, yeah,
Okay.
really good drawing chances.
Usually you want the outside pass pawn versus the inside center pass pawn, but
yeah,
this I see what you're saying.
in a lot of endgames you do, but here it's like, it might be nice to keep more pawns on the board, to try and like win the a pawn without losing a pawn, which will be hard. But yeah, I would expect rook e7 here. But actually, yeah, I think black is probably okay. King f8, king h7, because you can't move the king really here as white.
And there are like puzzle rush mating patterns here with g5, g4.
Sure.
Rook takes h2.
Some
GGs.
counterplay.
I mean,
Yeah.
okay, maybe it's not like.
So I think
horrible.
you're right. Actually, I think this wasn't like that much for white. I think Zoe here, I think with best play can hold this, but of course she still has a minute.
Best
So
play. I mean, I don't know, man.
Yeah, we might not see best play.
Unless you're fishy fish.
Can you go king h4, king g5?
I mean, but
But black is starting. Well, white would have had to do it here. Which is hard to give.
You take a check and then come over, right?
Yeah, you can come back like this. Yeah, exactly.
And then, in the threat, you go back.
Yeah, and you have check.
Take on h5, and then for sure it's the draw.
Yeah. So rook e7, king h7. Yeah, of course, black is immediately coming up to cover this one. Rook e5. Okay, Alice continues to press. Now
Actually,
I think...
I like rook e5.
Yeah, wants g6 so that the king can't get this square. But maybe king to g6? Yeah.
I think here you still have to go rook a5 and go into those lines.
Yeah, you can, but like... I think this is very drawish. So my bet is like she's going to try to keep the e-pawn for as long as she can.
Okay, so what, e4?
Maybe g4.
I was thinking G4 then G3, right?
I didn't love this.
Because this is the only way I can see to like untangle.
Okay, rook f5. Can you hold this king upon endgame?
I mean, we can go here if we want to. We don't have to trade.
That's okay. That's actually okay for black. I wouldn't hate that.
But here at least white has very healthy pawn up. And like this is harder to defend against, I would say. So... yeah, maybe g4. Feels like a try. Oh, I just want to check. We had another very important game on board 3.
Board 3.
Let's see. What do we make of this endgame? This is a game between Armin Mikhailian and Alexei Bilic.
Whoa.
And, oh yeah, there are some tactics here. Okay. So we left off here.
Yo, brother, chill. What is this?
With white just having, just like dominant grip. E5 played to just free himself. B4. We had
Take on
some
f7. Jeez.
crazy tactics.
Take on a5.
Lots of trades. Queen b7.
Okay, is that necessary?
A6. Bishop c3. Check. E4. Oh, love E4.
Yo, this cannot be okay for black.
Takes. So black calculates that he's going to win the pawn back, but E6. Rook takes b7.
F4, F5?
And this is our live position.
Oh, F4, G6.
Wow, I don't know, actually. This doesn't look that convincing for white. Like,
No, I'm worried.
this pawn is going to get stuck, and then black is running.
Okay, but maybe... Okay, like rook d1. Maybe there's tactics.
Oh, rook d1.
There's potential tactics.
Good move. Yeah, good move. King f8.
Okay, bishop check.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta try. Man, but a5 comes quick.
Yeah, it's like, so e7.
Okay, I don't hate that either, but...
Bishop here. I think black is like barely in time. A5.
Yeah, like that move
Here.
hurts.
B5. It's just barely not in time for this
But
one.
bishop c5?
Oh, bishop c5. Okay.
Yeah, maybe you can keep
This
the
is
threat.
still hanging. This is still hanging.
But I'm thinking worst case, you might be able to sack for the e-pawn and then just win with the 2 pawns.
Maybe,
Because,
maybe.
I mean, if you get, what is it? They get the 2 pawns to the 3rd rank is equal to a rook.
Yeah, but it's
A couple moves away.
far from that, yeah. Also possible to play bishop b4. Oh, played. Kalen, guessing the move. Grandmaster.
Wait, but
Just stopping
this-
the king from getting in.
is this a worse version? What, a5? Is this not a slower version?
Well, the king doesn't get in.
Well, yeah, but he just waits till you push and plays king of 7.
But a5, white has a lot of moves. You have rook d1. Rook E1?
Oh, wait. Rook D1 right away. Rook D1's kind of gross. Wait a second.
Yeah, filthy.
Wait. Okay, but like, Bishop C7. Oh, hold on. I'm clenching. Oh, I don't know about that. Hold on. Who am I voting for in this game? We'll vote for the underdog. I am.
Nice. But yeah, this looks like here and then just here. And Rook D8. Yeah. Big. Okay, so Armin might still be in control. I thought he might have messed it up, but actually, no, this looks pretty winning. This looks pretty winning.
This is a
Black's
deep
just so
calculation,
dominating.
actually.
Yeah.
Deep understanding, for sure.
Can we try Rook C7? Is this something?
C7? What happened? You like stared at me.
Oh, no, I was calculating.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's how you calculate.
I was
Nice.
calculating Rook D1.
Ah.
Here, 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 here. And I think Black's okay. And then you were like, what's happening?
You were like, gone.
But I was giving you a chance today. I didn't want to just start spewing. Oh, Rook C7 played. Okay, look at this. We're guessing all the moves.
Dang, chat.
How's this happening?
He's a real master.
How's that? You see an engine somewhere? You see an engine?
No, I actually don't.
No.
I actually don't. That's the Dojo way.
Okay, Rook D1 played. Now Rook C8, I think.
Okay, but okay.
And then
What if I hit you with Rook E7?
Rook D7, yeah. I think that's what he wants. E7, I think, doesn't work, so Rook D7.
Yeah, and then I hit you with some nasty like Bishop C3 later.
Yes.
Ugh.
Yes. Yeah. That's money. That's craps right there.
That's also scary.
But Black doesn't have to move the rook here, actually, so maybe it's not so simple. So Rook D7, A5.
But then you're just helping me, Bishop C3. Because if you take, I have
Oh,
rook check.
you can't take.
Yeah, that's the point. Double bad.
So what do you do then? H5? Just to
I think you cry.
just stop Bishop C3.
No, I think I don't know. Maybe, Bishop E5 maybe.
It should be 5. But then suffering. I feel like you'd rather just resign than like lose this pawn.
And then you get F4 and F5 with tempo, and you're never winning the pawn.
It's like there's E7 if white wants. Yeah, you're just stuck here.
Well, he might be
4
cooked.
minutes for Bilic. And this is sad for Bilic because he was actually leading the tournament. He had perfect 5 out of 5.
Oh.
But since then he drew. He lost some. I mean, it's tough. You start off strong and then you slow down.
It's just so hard to keep.
People catch up to.
On high octane, it's so tough.
Yeah.
Tony, how has your tournament been so far? It's been a little doo-doo caca, but that's all right.
Yeah, not the best tournament for you, but happens. Very tough here to play in Vegas. Do you have more tournaments lined up?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to the best tournament of the year outside of this one, the Donya Memorial coming up in July. So
Nice.
I'll be playing at that. Also, my streaming partner, Grandmaster Caden Trove, he'll be playing in it as well.
I feel like you pointed at me.
Sorry, like in the air. And then yeah, dude, we're gonna have Hikaru. We're gonna have the World Championship challenger Sindarov there. So I'm super excited to see him. My boy A Wonder's gonna be there. Love that guy. It's just gonna be fun.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I think that's going to be a fantastic event.
My
Very
boy
strong.
Kostya, he'll
I'm
be
playing,
there.
yeah. Basically, for me, it's my World Rapid and Blitz. It's just like so powerful.
100%.
Sveta Stream with the raid. Hello. Thank you. Welcome, folks. Welcome. We are watching the final day here at the National Open 2026 Vegas Chess Festival. I'm here with Tony from the Chess Sharks, and we are watching a very critical game here in round 8. This is the board 3 matchup, and white here, Grandmaster Armin, he's playing for the win. Yeah, welcome everyone. Welcome. Thank you for the raid. Let me give a shout out to Svetlana.
It's a bit rough.
Tony, you seem pretty upbeat for someone having a bad tournament. Hope it's because you are graceful in defeat and not because you don't care about the chess.
No, it's because I finally got a good night of sleep. Well, I finally got some sleep.
That's why you're upbeat.
Yeah, I slammed 3 melatonin pills last night and just like finally knocked out. It was so nice. Don't condone drugs, kids, but like, sleep aid is nice.
Yeah, every once in a while. Kids, you don't need it. You can fall asleep in like a loud room with the lights on. You guys are
Yeah.
You guys are good. Okay, so rook takes a7. By the way, bishop e5, we call this move. Rook takes a7, we call this move. But this looks bad. I mean,
Okay, but now where do we put him in the coffin? The slow wins. F4 F5 wins always.
yeah, you just start advancing. Okay,
H5.
h5. Good,
H5 will
good
not
D.
be enough.
Good D. Very nice move. Not letting white just get the free hand. Just like G5, F5, and so on. So H5. I guess if rook B7, he wants bishop D4. But then rook D7, rook D5.
Wait. Actually, yeah. Just what's wrong with just rook D7?
Rook D7 here.
Yeah.
Sure. For this.
Actually, I just want to push and play rook. Yeah.
Well, when you push, black will go rook E8, rook D8, king F7.
Mm-hmm.
And
then I think.
Just hold the blockade.
And then I hit you with. I just hold it. Then I hit you with king F3.
Mm-hmm.
And I just go up, run up, take all your stuff.
That is one way to win these endgames, is just kind of paralyze black. You could trade rooks if you want, but I think better not to. Well, okay, maybe it's not so simple. Like, let's say, okay, it's hard for black to move.
I'll play this move, king F6.
Let's say here, just for example, the problem is like...
Okay, but if you're going to do this one, fair enough.
Yeah. But even if, let's say, black played like some random move, and then we still went for this, white still has to deal with this bishop F6 idea. Especially with the pawn on B6.
The outside pawn.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a bit tender. Okay, now you get it with tempo, you might as well throw it in.
Yeah, now I feel like, this makes a lot of sense.
Throw it in, bishop F6. Okay, what if I hit... Is it a win if I play bishop E7? Is that an easy long-term win?
This one?
Yeah.
This one, I don't know.
Trade, king F8, rook B7.
It's hard. I would think maybe here.
Oh, okay. I missed this one.
But I'm not sure. I mean, this could be still good for white. Like, this e-pawn is like really strong. Yeah, king comes in.
It's a little... I know, but if I don't keep that e-pawn 2-on-3 on that side, I think black holds. So
Yeah.
It's a little...
So it depends.
I'd have to like stone cold calculate it out.
Yeah. Okay, rook D7.
Which they don't exactly have tons of time.
No.
Both under 7.
No, they got to play quickly here. Yeah, bishop F6, bishop C5, just bishop C3. I think you lose immediately.
That's good night.
It's bishop F2, but take. Okay, some stuff. So bishop F6, much more solid. But now I think like F4, F5 is possible. You could start bringing in the king, rook D6. A lot of moves.
Did you hear that? Or am I crazy?
There is something this time.
Oh, I thought there was something last time. Thought I heard my name. Okay, what if I like slap around something like bishop D2, bishop G5, and then I try to plan on G6.
Okay, let's see. Bishop D2. It's rook E8. Rook D6. D5.
Okay, first I play rook B6.
And then, I feel like we're not even in a rush here. Like F4, F5, and then just take the pawn.
Because I keep wanting bishop G5 because I think that will break through everything for me.
Yeah, eventually maybe bishop G5 to break through.
Kostya's really good at this commentary stuff with lower elo players. He's really good at making your ideas flow a bit better. He's like, yeah, your idea's good if we do it like later on and like in the future, but it's not horrible.
I like to yes and by the way, a lot of respect to you and to Jay and everyone that's coming on the stream, because like It's very intimidating to give counterplay or to give commentary without the engine or eval bar.
That's
right?
true.
It's,
It's a different beast.
by the way, I'm blundering all the time. Chat's picking up on my blundering all the time. It's embarrassing for me, but it's like just kind of go through it.
Dude, okay, the worst
fun.
experience I had there is I was doing commentary for Hans Niemann, and me and Kaden liked this style, so we did no engine.
Nice.
We only pulled it up like purely necessary, like we could not figure it out. And there was a couple moments where Kaden's like, yeah, that's cute, but like you're just blundering here. I'm like, dang it.
That's cute.
And I was like, shoot. He's like, it's okay. We don't have stockfish, but like still.
But what I also like is that, you're suggesting ideas. So the reason I like doing no engine commentary is because I feel like my ideas are going to be closer to the players than the engine's ideas, right? Because I'm like 2,300, the players are 2,500, engine is 3,700. So I'm closer to the players than stockfish.
That's a good point. You don't get any of those crazy ideas, the engine lines. Stop Blazing Heart.
Yeah. And you're, of course, going to be closer to the average audience member, and maybe you're asking questions or coming up with moves that they're thinking about. That someone like Kaden, Kaden's been 2,400 since he was 8 years old. Like, these moves don't even enter his mind, right?
No,
it's just like...
that's so real. There's some times where he's like, I don't understand why you and other players are playing these moves. It just doesn't make sense. And he has the hardest time sometimes. He actually has a section of studies, that's what Russian call them. But basically positions where he's found that he's like, okay, 2,000 think this in these positions, and I don't understand why. And he has a whole section of those positions that he saves, that he tries to give as instruction, be like, this is what you should be thinking, and you guys often think this bad stuff. Right. And I got to figure out how to get it out of you guys.
That's very cool. That's really instructive.
Yeah, but it's really like it's very sparse that he adds to that file, because it's just it's not super common, but
yeah.
When it happens, it just blows his mind.
Yeah, I have a few puzzles that I've shown a lot over the years, and it's like you always get like the typical wrong responses, and it's like very instructive how that keeps happening. That's why all these GM speedruns are bogus.
Oh wait,
it's
okay.
Too good.
Okay, I get it. Hold up. Black is saying, push your pawn. I'm going to stack my bishop whenever, and then I'm going to just push my pawn all the way down as my only counterplay.
I think he's not in time.
I agree. I just think that's his idea.
I love this blockade for white. King F3, just like this is just everything is coming. Now I think like if he pushed E7, I think King F7. I think Black is just gonna try to round up the pawn. Because the issue with this one is like I think it's very straightforward for white. You just stop the pawn with your rook.
Yeah.
Good point. And then it's just,
look at that. There's the blunders.
You'll be done. But here
goes back. Okay.
So stopping the king from advancing.
You can't walk up. But you still made progress there.
Oh yeah. Now rook to B6.
He's just gonna get squeezed.
Now let's see if rook D4.
You
I think check. In E7.
Yeah, he died. Can we check out if Alice pulled through yet?
Yes. Let's check in with Alice. And okay, we've had some progress here, developments. 2 versus 1.
Hey, I think this is we don't do it with the fish, but this is table based, right?
Yes. 7 pieces on the board.
Yeah. I think it's win white, but.
You think it's win for white?
Yeah.
Wow. I think objectively it's a draw, but it's not easy for sure.
Really?
I'm also not sure if it's a draw, but I would say like, actually I would say either whether it's a win or a draw, either way it's like very difficult.
Oh, it's horrible for Zoe. It's suffer. You pray, then you pray some more.
But why I feel like Black actually has decent counterplays, because like okay, has the pass G pawn, and she basically just needs to trade this pawn off for one of White's pawns, and then hope the king is close enough to whatever pawn is remaining.
Well, how close do you have to be? Isn't it like within 4 ranks?
For the A pawn?
Yeah. Is if you get cut off?
I think if you get cut off here, you're lost.
5 ranks.
And otherwise, it's okay.
Oh wait, this is Is this fast enough?
Okay, rook a8.
Because the idea, you push the a pawn, you have to keep the king on g7. Otherwise, there's that trick with rook h8. And if you can't advance the king and the other rook is stuck on a1 holding the other pawn, you just win the g pawn.
Yeah.
It's the theoretical dream, I think.
That would be the idea, but I think black is going to try to set up some counterplay before that. Like maybe g4 right now? What's her idea? Does she want a5?
Well, but here you can play rook g8, right?
Rook g8? Good.
There's going to be like some trick at some point.
So like, yeah, I was thinking g3 takes and here.
No, check and f4.
Check and rook f4.
Yeah.
Yeah, holds on. Exactly.
Yo, rook h3. Crazy. Hey. It's not fairy tale chess.
Very unexpected. Okay, she starts with check. Also very sensible just to get ready to bring the rook behind the pawn. I think maybe this is the simplest thing black can be doing.
But this still leads to what Alice wants, I think. King f2. And if you don't...
Something like this?
Yeah, and then you just start this process. You tie them up.
Right.
But maybe...
This is interesting. Let's say here.
Yeah, maybe the e-pawn's always dying.
Check. Here.
Yeah, rook a2.
Rook a2?
Yeah, because if you get it with check and go back, it's a draw.
Right.
Wait, but the king's not on g7 yet. Wait. There might be a trick here. You push a7.
Yeah, or you can just take. Actually, takes a7. And black's not in time.
Whoa, see, I'm telling you, there's like little tricks here.
No.
It's
many tricks. And Zoe still is just playing on increment this whole time.
Yes.
So so far she's defended incredibly well, but as it often happens, you defend, and then 4 hours later you're tired. All of a sudden you blunder, and people are like, "How did she blunder that?"
How did she blunder?
For 5 hours, yeah.
You're so tired.
Like 4 days.
So antsy. Maybe she got to pee. Like
Is there any idea to hide your king on g4?
Put the king on g4.
The black one.
Black king.
Oh,
I don't
Yeah.
think so.
So like in line with king f2. Is that a better place or a worse place than g7 to avoid the check?
right.
Well, it has the idea, right? 'Cause there's no file check. What's good? No, you're supposed to win those. You want to come talk to us about it?
For therapy session.
Come join us. Yeah,
Come join. Come
You're
pull up
a
a chair.
streamer. Come post up.
Yeah, I think king g4. I think this potentially better way for black to defend. Yeah, although
Here,
This
please
looks
grab
like
a
my
chair.
game from yesterday.
kind of tricky.
Good. It'll be instructive. Chat. We got Miss Maddie Chess here.
Maddie plays
the
chess.
legendary
Make
New
sure.
Yorker.
I think you should get in behind.
Yeah, like it
Me
right
and
here,
Sonny
like
there.
post up.
For
Yeah.
too long.
Post up
But
in the
I
middle.
recognize that endgame. I literally played that for 4 hours yesterday.
And so you have the answer to this.
Yeah.
You can tell us.
Tell us the details.
What-
Is this a win or a draw?
I played something so similar yesterday. Let's see.
Who's winning here? Does white win or black hold? Chat. She is a master, so like you guys know, like
Oh, stop.
she's white. Am I
from that last
am
endgame
I
I just
lying?
played.
Hold up. Am I telling the truth? I'm telling the truth.
Well, recently titled, yes.
Yeah, recently titled. She's a beast.
So check king
I
f2.
like White's position. I don't see how you can lose this, right? Just start shoving the pawn.
Oh, you can always lose this. I mean, you know.
Or draw this. I mean,
But how does black
Where's the king
hold?
gonna
That's
go?
a good idea.
Yeah, we're expecting rook a3 here.
but,
But
then
maybe
you just start
black
running
just
the a
checks.
pawn. You probably have to check, right?
You could also give check and keep doing this.
Put the king in a
But now
worse
this
spot.
isn't so bad. You can start running the pawn, right?
Yeah. So actually maybe the checks are kind of annoying for white here. Check, check.
Wait, okay,
Well, I
but
thought
you
check
check
and then
king
go
f1.
King f3,
But then rook
okay,
h3
same.
check.
and then you can go back to g2.
Yeah, g2.
Go to g2.
Wait, but rook e3.
Now you got a second, and then you can just go king f2.
King f2, rook h3.
Okay, now
you
you can push
repeat.
the pawn. You just keep doing this.
No. If you push the pawn, I think it's worse.
What?
Because you're going to lose the e-pawn. All black has to do is win one pawn.
Wait, where am I losing the e-pawn? We have the exact same position from what we just talked about.
I know,
but now
okay.
the pawn's on
But you
a5.
said push the e-pawn. So check, you get a second.
right?
So we were saying like
you
this.
said A pawn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you said E pawn.
Right. Rook E3.
and then here,
Now-
and
now-
then and
If you
then.
want to go rook
No,
H3
rook H3?
again.
Getting-
Yep. Now I
Okay.
can push the A pawn.
Okay, you said E pawn. My bad.
I said A pawn.
So here, A5 on the board.
Okay, but
It is a
this
question.
is a win. This you run into that problem.
So there are ways to lose this Rex. Like the classic way to lose, like what you're talking about, is like let's say King G7, push. Let's say like just does nothing, push, and like I don't know, just does nothing. Then this is a loss. And here you don't even need to take the G pawn. You have this very simple plan of just running the E pawn all the way up. Because black can never take because you're just moving the rook,
And the king can never move.
and king can't approach the pawn either.
Well, I mean, it could go to H7, I guess, but
But then you're
Yeah,
just like promoting.
yeah.
And so basically white wins with a second pass pawn as long as, so F pawn also would win, or any other pawn. But like F pawn wins. You push the pawn to F6 with check, and that's it. Black loses.
But so
But it's not so simple because black does have this G pawn, and so can try to use this for some.
I think you just hold on G2 with the king.
Okay, so G4 played A6, so this might
Yeah.
be Alice's idea, is to
King
just
G2.
go here.
And once it gets to A7, you're cooked.
Then here, and yeah, black starts running into Zugzwang. King H7, E4. All right, see you, Maddie. So this is losing.
I know. I'm not hopeful for Zoe. Let's go, Alice.
So G3, King G2. I mean, maybe black had to try this King F5, King G4. Maybe this was a better try, because then it's like harder for white to make progress. When you push the E pawn, you always have to deal with a lot of checks. But now I think Zoe just doesn't have enough time to realize that she might be in deep trouble here. So you advance with the king, then there's A7. So king goes back to G7. But now I think Alice is just gonna, I mean, for sure she knows this. I think she's just gonna push
Oh, here
push
she
A.
comes.
Yeah. And she pushes confidently. Like normally in these endgames, you wouldn't want to push unless you were absolutely sure. So the fact that she did it so quickly means
Yeah, actually, so there's a version of these endgames where you don't want to push A7, and you actually want to walk your king to A7.
exactly.
Yeah, but it totally different. But that's the idea.
In a different scenario. But here, like, yeah, you push A7, the rook is stuck, E4. Yeah, Zoe's gonna resign soon.
This is a GG's. This is a resign and go recharge for the next game.
Yeah. Bummer, but very, very instructive endgame. Actually, I think this is one of the most important ideas in rook endgames, this breakthrough where you have two passed pawns and the opponent can't stop both of them.
Good technique, man.
Yeah.
Good technique by Alice. She did the work.
I think the endgame was drawn for a long time, but now it's cooked.
Should we look it up?
Yeah, we can. Let's
You want
check.
to table base it?
Yeah, let's check. Just
Oh,
like
I mean, you're right. We could do that.
at what point it
we
was.
could do that.
It started to lose. So here, black is still holding,
Is this still holding +1?
and rook A3 is losing. Wow, surprising, right? Like rook behind passed pawn. Every textbook says rook, go rook A3.
Game losing mistake.
But yeah, I think. Okay, so the
So how
idea
to
is
hold?
the
It was to
perpetual
play
check.
King F5 like this, like we were talking about, but without rook. So actually, I'm curious why this is losing. Here, A5, King F5, A6, King G4, A7. Let's say rook A2, King E3. Okay, apparently this one's winning for white. King G3, King D3, G4, E4. Oh, you can't.
Oh.
Your king is stuck in front of the pawn, so you're just so slow. So you can't go King F2 because of check. So you're like your G pawn is
That's
just
some good
like
understanding.
just a complete
Why
swab
is,
here.
why is it a draw if you don't move your king to your rook to H3 or A3? Right?
Yeah. So let's go back. So
I
somehow,
think it's this like perpetual check thing that we were looking at.
somehow black is a little bit faster here. So King F5, A5, King G4, A6, Rook H2 check, King E3,
Welcome back.
Rook H7. Oh, black holds from the side.
Wait, that's nice.
So this is a draw.
Wait,
That's insane.
is it a draw? After you trade the
Because
pawns?
you also have like a square now for the king. Yeah. But how do you trade the pawns? Like Rook G8?
Yeah, rook G8. Are you saying we don't take?
Right.
No, you take.
Have to take.
Take, check. I thought in these positions, You cut it off? I thought. Oh,
think
the
the
king's gonna
problem
loop
here is,
around this way.
The black rook is very active, so it's really hard for you to make progress with the king. Like check, for example. We call this the frontal defense, and then like, how do you make progress?
Hold on, I'm about to front you. Wow, that's annoying. Shoot, I was hoping because usually you need the king in front of the pawn, set the rook up behind, but
Yeah. If now this was more advanced, like king on e4, pawn on e5, then white's winning. But yeah, this one black is holding. Hello, hello.
no, I'm not a squid.
Get in here.
No, I took a bye because they convinced me to, and we stayed up really late. So.
Bro, it was 4 a.m. You can't blame us.
Every day, and I was like, I need to like sleep because I start my drive back across the country tomorrow, and like, I know we're gonna have a late night tonight.
So yeah,
I'm kinda
Alice
just,
wins.
These are 2 buys.
Very nice
just the one for the
win
morning.
for Alice. Unfortunate heartbreak for Zoe. She loses 2 games in a row, but she's still having a great tournament and can. I think even if she loses her last round, she's still having a great tournament. But
Okay, I
she'll
think
try to bounce back.
we check board 1 and then call it, right?
Yeah, board
what-
3. Yeah, let's
No,
just
I
see
like
what's happening here.
But I
Oh, let
think,
me
like,
turn
I mean,
off the engine. We knew this was winning.
Only like 1,000, whatever.
Let's see. So Armin here picked up the 2 pawns.
Yeah, and I like the first tournament I did, I like lost.
Okay.
Have
Okay.
this position
The
here.
last tournament I did, I
Rookie
actually
2 check.
won.
King
And then this
F3.
tournament, I'm like, it's probably
King
my worst one
F3.
yet.
King F5, you have G6
Both
check,
had like
so
middle of the road to win, now lost.
Yeah.
And, then,
And black, yeah, maybe takes the pawn. So
plus
King
I think it's,
F3
like, I
played.
got sick like the week before, so I
Rook
wasn't
will
really able to kind of, like,
move.
study as much as
And
I
then
wanted, and then
what's he
I was,
gonna
like,
do?
okay,
Just
I
defend the
can
pawn?
Drive here and then drive across the country, so I was like, pack
think
I just like kind of had a lot on my mind, and then I got here and I just wasn't.
And then
really
you're still
prepared.
trying
I've
to.
been
Oh,
prepared
Rook
for,
F8.
like,
Sorry, Rook
7,000
F8. Thank you.
with, like 1250s and like 11.
Ah, so this
Oh.
one's over.
like,
That's good
I
night.
can hold my own, and then there's like a certain point.
So
where
he had to sack.
It switches. And I'm like, but it's been good.
Takes,
He has
takes.
to take
Yes,
here.
I
Yeah,
actually am, 'cause
but-
I feel like
but
every
it-
time I,
But
like,
yeah. And then you pin the bishop, and that's just it's.
You're down a pawn.
That's super
Yeah,
bad.
yeah, you're never holding this.
Like, what am I
So Armin's winning this one. Might be
All right.
resigns right here,
It's
actually.
over.
tells you to do, like, why am I not
So if we look at the standings, where does that put
improving?
us?
Because
Assuming
I
this is
see
a
them
win for whites.
tactics, but I'm
Yes,
like,
so standings. Christopher Yu leading 6.5 points.
for real, and, like,
A number of players on 6 points. Zhao Jinchao, Ehsan Gaye Magami, Liam Putnam, Victor
obviously
Matvishin.
not so much right now, but
So Christopher's going to have white. I'm guessing it's Zhao
I just
Jinchao.
don't know, like, where to go from here.
Because they haven't played yet. He has white. He's going to play one of the highest rated players. Maybe colors don't
And he's
match up.
good. He plays in Charlotte a lot. We really like him.
Zhao?
Yeah.
Yeah, very strong.
He's just,
I'm in the under 1250.
and he's relentless. That guy does not stop playing tournaments.
Yeah, he plays all time.
Everything.
Yeah, he just plays everything. He's often winning like the Grand Prix, like just winning all the
Oh, yeah.
open tournaments. And
You're going to improve.
Which is awesome.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I
All
think
right,
this is
Kostya.
resigns here.
Time to
But
because I am newer, that
yeah,
I
let's
actually,
just
like, kinda
wait for this
time
game
to
to end, and then we'll probably
Sum it up.
This is my
close it
checklist
out. Yeah, we have
and
another
actually go through all
round
of
to
it for, like,
do
every
in an
game,
hour.
kind of.
Oh my
I think
gosh,
what's
it's already-
happened the last
And that's
few
it.
years
Yeah,
I've
Armin
lost
has
is,
won.
the position is, like,
These
so
guys got to
critical,
play
and
in
I
an
just,
hour as well.
like, am not
Folks, I think that's going to
able
do it
kind of,
for
like, convert it, and
this
then, like, they
this round.
Chat, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure, chat.
Thank you, Tony.
It was a good time.
Guys, another shout out to
Yeah.
Chess Sharks. Go follow them. They're
Exactly.
always
So,
streaming,
it's okay. How about-
always doing fun stuff, commentary, game splits, playing against viewers, game analysis. You guys give away free stuff. I'm just making stuff up.
Oh, whoa. Apparently Kostya wants some.
Okay.
Tony, who are you facing? I don't know.
Yeah, no pairings yet, actually. I think pairings are going to come out maybe another 30 minutes or so,
Yeah.
and then we'll see. So, folks, we'll be back. That's going to do it for now. We'll be back for the later rounds where we'll be crowning a champion in the 2026 National Open. Stay tuned for the raid, guys.
That's true. Blazing Hunter has got on their shirt from us. Let's go.
How about that?
Oh, there you go.
So we'll see you all soon.
Thursday.
Good night.
All right, folks, take care.
Let's go.